Thursday. Got football back tonight. Loving it. Got to say thanks to our friends from last night out at Bullwinkle's in the Galleria. We had a great time out there last night. Good crowd, a lot of fun. And the people from Budweiser, from Bud Light, were fantastic. They gave away a bunch of stuff last night. Hats and T-shirts and tchotchke stuff, and had specials and such last night. But that was probably the first time in a while. They got people registered for the big screen TV, giving it away at the end of the year. So that's the first time in a while that they came out with the full entourage of giveaway stuff, which was kind of cool. So thanks to them for coming out last night as well. Today we're back at it, and a lot to get to. Today is Fantasy Football Day, which we all know. The CHARCH is going to be here, Paul Charchi. He's going to be joining us coming up a little bit later on today. There is a couple of different things that I wanted to get into today because yesterday we talked about the offense and not having a downfield passing game as of yet. Just statistically speaking, it hasn't happened, and you would assume it's going to morph into something at some point. So today I wanted to focus on and point to what you feel good about right now regarding the Pack. Not what worries you down the road, but, because I'm trying to think, if you go by what Aaron Rodgers said in the Bill Belichickian sense, whatever it is the Packers do well, Belichick's going to try to take it away. So let's talk about what you would attack. If you're thinking as Bill Belichick today, what do the Packers do well that you want to attack? What is good about the Green Bay Packers right now? And I think if you go through the list, you can say the 1-2 punch of the run game. Now, granted, you would love to see A.J. Dillon have bigger gains, but he is that north-south battering ram that keeps that defense honest and pounds on them. Aaron Jones is kind of like the scat back. He is used as much as a receiver almost as, well, I shouldn't say almost because he doesn't have as many catches as he does touches, but he runs outward and can catch the ball, really good at blitz pickup. Robert Tonyan, as he continues to get his pitch count up, I would assume his progress is going to get only better. Same thing with David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins and Yash Nyman, how that offensive line is going to go. And then hopefully, eventually, you get Christian Watson back. And then at some point, Sammy Watkins comes back walking through that door, and you get your complement of wide receivers. Then what is good defensively speaking? Well, I don't think anybody can argue with the defense at this point. The defensive numbers have been pretty good. You get rid of that. Even the first game against Minnesota, they looked bad. They looked like they were, had a few miscommunications and such. It felt like they were kind of feeling. Then they got right. Now, granted, they got right against a bad Bears team, and they got right this past weekend. Tom Brady was frustrated, didn't have a lot of his weapons around him. We all know that. He doesn't have Gronk as a safety weapon anymore. And the run game, the Packers said, we're going to stop it, and they did. They did a great job with Leonard Fournette up front. The Kenny Clark, Jaron Reed, Dean Lowry, TJ Slayton, that group of guys has rotated through pretty well. They're playing a lot of nickel, so they're pulling usually a defensive lineman or an extra backer, the linebacker off the field. We've seen them do that with dime as well. So, you're seeing Kenny Clark and Dean Lowry or Dean Lowry and Jaron Reed. You've seen that combination quite a bit, and you're not seeing a lot at this point of Devontae Wyatt, but as Mike Clemens told us last night, we talked a little bit about, he's got to learn a little bit more, got to understand things a little bit better because he was just, kind of a wrecking ball in Georgia. And that's fine because that's what you're paid to do at Georgia. Wink, wink, nod, nod. But in the NFL, you have a little bit more responsibility, some gap integrity and things like that, things that you have to really learn when to get upfield, when not to get upfield, when to hold a block, when to break down, when, all that different stuff. Not that it's over. You're not a defensive back. You're not playing the route tree, so to speak. But he's got to learn. He's got some things he has to learn. And then obviously the defense, the backers, both inside and outside, have been pretty solid. Devondre Campbell, again, even though statistically he's still racking up the numbers, but he isn't getting as much recognition this year as he was early on last year, but that's probably because he's doing his job. But early on, I mean, the first game of the season, there was a lot of people that kind of looked at this team and went, whoa, what happened to that top 5 defense we were talking about? Give it time. They're starting to morph. We'll see what happens this week. So the other aspect of this team that I think that is trending in the right direction, and this is great big knock on wood, special teams. Now, the return game is not unbelievably prolific, and Amari Rodgers isn't breaking returns for 25, 35, 55 yards. He's not doing that. But other than the muff in the Bears game, it's been pretty solid. I would have liked to have seen him return that punt in the game against Tampa Bay this past weekend, the last one, in which he had a couple of blockers ahead of him, one guy bearing down on him, and pretty much 10 to 15 yards of open field. And he chose to fair catch it on more of a line drive style punt. But that's okay. It's not great. It's not preferred, but that's probably, as we discussed, it's probably what he was told. Just go out there, catch it. Don't worry about it. We got some time. We're going to put a drive together, run some time off the clock, and kind of end this thing. And that was really the goal of the Packers. So kickoffs have been good. Touchbacks have been coming. They have used the sideline as the 12th man. I mean, a lot of things that they're doing. Coverage has been pretty good. We haven't seen anything really busted open, for an embarrassing field flipper yet. I think one time, it might have been in the Chicago game. I think one time we've seen it. But beyond that, it's been actually pretty good. Pat O'Donnell has been punting extremely well. Although they haven't used it a ton, the process seems to at least have been, at least for the time being, corrected for Mason Crosby. So, we'll talk about the good. A lot of good for the Green Bay Packers. So we want to get into that today. And then last night, number 61, Aaron Judge goes yard and ties Roger Maris's record for the most home runs in a season by an American League player. He is one home run away from breaking that record. And there is a very distinctive difference between what Judge has done and others in the past have done, and we'll talk about that because I think he deserves savage props, big time. We got Paul Charchian coming up. We got fantasy football today, as I had mentioned, and I got a quandary of my own, so we're going to get into that when Charch is joining us. So we have that coming up today. So a lot of good stuff today. Ben Kenny producing the show. Ben, how you doing today? Yeah. Yeah. I was. Yeah. I know. I didn't get into the Brewers stuff right away because it goes hand in hand with your misery. So I wanted to wait, last topic, so to speak, to talk about the Brewers because, it's twisting the knife in the gut and heart of one Ben Kenny as the Philadelphia Phillies collapse like a really badly built building, and we're seeing it. Okay. Really? Okay. That's funny.
Let's do this. I know in the live stream there's a sound issue. We'll get that fixed. Don't worry about it. It should be better, but if it's not, let me know. If it's not, let me know.
I do have Craig Counsell audio from last night's game that we could play later. I can't wait to listen to it. I'm sure everybody else is equally as excited.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll the monotone. Look, I like Craig because he's not ever too high. He's not ever too low. He always sounds the same. Like he might have just woken up, gotten out of bed, went to the game, and then he's doing a press conference. You can pretty much do Craig Counsell's pressers. Everybody could do it. Very monotone. Gosh, Woody threw great. His breaking stuff was really good. He's just he's lights out. Things are just progressing in a really, really great way. So and that's when they win. Now, if they lose, it's just Woody just didn't have his stuff today, and his breaking ball wasn't just kind of didn't have the movement on it that it normally does, and we had a couple of big hits, but we just weren't able to get it done. It's the same, which is really kind of what you want. A big win, a joyous win, you're in the playoffs, spray the champagne win. That's different. But for baseball, Craig Counsell's like, I'm here. Ask me a question. We can talk a little bit about the game. Then I'm heading down to Calderon for dinner. I got to get going. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic when I said I'm excited to listen to it. This is excruciating.
Oh, I know. I don't mind it. Some people mind it. I don't mind it. Me personally, I don't have an issue with it, but I get what you're saying. I will say this. Did you see we were talking yesterday about Brett Favre and, everything that's going on down in Mississippi. Did you see the piece that The Athletic did on Favre and how he went back for more money, took 1.1 million for appearances. We all know that he never made. He supposedly had paid that back, but the state wanted the interest on the money. He owes still over $200,000 in interest on that money. He combined Deanna's charity. Remember when Deanna had breast cancer, they did the breast cancer charity for Deanna. And then there was the Favre for Hope Foundation, which was supposed to be money for underprivileged kids and kids with cancer and such. And a lot of that money, along with Deanna's charity, once they combined those charities together under one umbrella, paid a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to the sports facilities as well. Over $130,000 to the University of Mississippi Athletic Foundation out of those charities. And Favre continued to ask state officials for money for the volleyball facility, eventually for, and also don't forget, it was Phil Bryant, the then governor, talked about the misuse of funds. It would be illegal. And this is all according to the text messages he's telling Brett and stating that, no, we can't do this. But Favre was still asking for money for a strength and conditioning facility for Southern Miss, it was reported. So there's a lot of, I saw ESPN was digging on it. The Athletic did a report on it. The AP has reporters doing full stories on this. They're calling his attorney. Nobody's returning a phone call. Buzz Cook, nobody's returning a phone call. There's a lot of it. Remember when Favre went through the whole text thing when he sent the junk pic to I think she was a sideline reporter for the Jets, and that got him into trouble. And that was when the world started collapsing on Brett Favre. And that was when he was playing. He still had a lot of popularity. He still has popularity, don't get me wrong. But there was just a lot that Favre had going for him. And when he got to New York, it was kind of like, I can do what I want in Green Bay. Green Bay, he was a huge fish in a very small pond. And a lot of people covered up a lot of things that he did along the way. In New York, it's like, you're one of 40 stars. Who are you? And so they went after him. And now this whole deal, not only, and this was a very good report that I had read about the marketing side of things, not only is he in financial trouble when it comes to the illegality of the funds that have been taken, received, and used, and he is claiming no knowledge of this, even though there are text messages stating that he did have an understanding that he didn't want this to get out because of what could be bad press or illegality. But now, as one marketing company in New York put it, he's untouchable. You can't put him in. I mean, even the Copperfit people are now talking about getting rid of him as a spokesperson. He is now untouchable. It's one thing if you have an indiscretion And he recovered from that humiliating sequence in New York with the Jets sideline reporter. But this not only stealing money from the charity, but diverting funds from charity that you put together and taking money under false pretenses, but also then, as a guy that's made over $150 million in your career, stealing money from the state welfare system from those who really need it, and then diverting it to sports facilities, which clearly Southern Miss, it's a college. We're not talking about underprivileged kids here. He's not building them a place to play. He's building a volleyball facility for Southern Miss because his daughter played there, and he's wanting a better football facility, weight and strength training facility, because he played football there. This is not charitable. And one of the marketing firms in New York said he's just now untouchable. So his future income, short of pension for the NFL, his future income has been completely damaged because of all of this. Unless he comes out of this, and there's proof that he just had no knowledge of any of this. I mean, his foundation claims to help children and cancer patients, and that money's being diverted to go build volleyball facilities for down payments on money to be funded for the construction of a volleyball facility. It gets worse every day, and now everybody, I mean, the Pandora's box is now open, and everybody is piling on. So that's one of the other stories that's continuing to spin today. Good to have you on the Bud Light live stream. Glad to see everybody, Ronald and Trevor and Jason and Steve and everybody. So good stuff for everybody stopping by and saying hello on that side as well. Got a lot of stuff coming up today. Hang in there. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Still big doings going on, and time to get down to Great Lakes Dragaway, Union Grove, Wisconsin, down near Racine. And still going to be running down there. You can rent the track, you and your friends, take some vehicles down there, go see how fast you can go. You can rent the track for an hour or two. You can rent it for an entire day, whatever it is you'd like to do. You can hold events down there, but they still have some racing going on. They still have some events and signings and such. So a lot of good stuff happening down at Great Lakes Dragaway. Go to greatlakesdragaway.com. That's greatlakesdragaway.com. Again, greatlakesdragaway.com. Just a little bit of breaking news. Mike Girardi says Mac Jones is in the facility and participating in game planning. The Patriots quarterback has told multiple teammates not to count him out for this weekend's game at Green Bay, still hoping, to have a chance. He said he's still operating as if he has a chance. Practice scheduled for around 12:30 today Eastern time. So we'll see if Mac Jones on a bad wheel is able to come back and play against Green Bay Packers. So we'll see. See what happens. 877-867-1670. The good for the Green Bay Packers. Go to Chuck over on the Bud Light live stream. Do you think that the Packers will do anything to take away some of the honors the team has given to Favre, such as the Ring of Honor, retired jersey, etc.? No, and here's the reason why, is because he did those things. He earned those things on the field. For the same reasons that people want to see Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, because what he did was on the field. Brett has not done anything via the cardinal sin of football. He didn't bet on his own team. He wasn't betting and gambling on football when he was a player. He wasn't doing any of that. There's been a lot of guys throughout the years that have done a lot of bad stuff. And while he may not be featured, I don't see him coming back to Lambeau Field anytime soon to take accolades or an autograph signing, or unless maybe that's the only place he could possibly return to be honest with you, where a lot of fans will still accept him, probably would be Lambeau Field in some way, shape, or form. He still has quite the loyalty. There's a lot of people that don't want to believe this. It's a media stunt. They're out to get him. There's a lot of things in that direction that, has been said on Twitter that I've seen and even in this Bud Light live stream and on the show. But I don't see them, to answer your question, it's a long-winded answer. I apologize. I don't see them removing anything. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll stand up and say, hey, we're going to take a stand. But I don't see that happening. And I don't know if that would be right. Because what he did for the Green Bay Packers and the organization was already done. What he's done since his retirement over the last few years, that's what in his personal life he's going to have to deal with. But what he did as a Green Bay Packer, you can't change that, right? You would still semi-honor that. He and Reggie White brought the title back to Titletown. That will forever be in the lore of the Green Bay Packers. That's part of their history. I don't think you just wipe it out because the guy turned out to be a bad guy in some way, shape, or form, So that's just my opinion. Ronald says, I hope the Brewers get there, but ultimately their bullpen is going to be their downfall. And you're probably right. Probably right. This is from Jason. Jason, will we see at the huge WEAC matchup this weekend? UW Whitewater, UW La Crosse. I got to get a hold of Coach Bullis. If I can get a hold of Coach Bullis. See, Saturday we got to get back. But I don't even know. I haven't looked, but because my buddy Mike down in Whitewater, who called the program the other day, had mentioned that too. I don't know. I got to see what time the game is. Jason, do you know what time the game is? Let me know. Because I would love to at least get over and see like the first half if we could get in. And if maybe somebody over there at UW La Crosse is listening, I'd love to be able to go over and get in, but I don't know how long we're going to be there. So, but I would love to get a look at that. Yeah. We haven't had Coach Bullis on the program in a long time either, a couple of years. We got to get back to that. Robert says, if I was Bill Belichick, I would stack the box and press play and press and man on the pass game, but I got no advice to Bill on what he should do on offense. I sniff shutout. Fortunately, we have the all-pro quarterback and running backs. I give the Pats no chance in this game. Now, what we were talking about a little while ago in the first segment of the show was what do the Packers do well? What are you really geeked about regarding the Green Bay Packers? What makes you go, okay, this is good? What I'm starting to see is good. What I'm starting to see, and I went over every aspect of it. I think the secondary is solid. Hopefully Jair comes back. The depth that they've displayed is pretty good as long as they don't, suffer any more injuries. I also think that the linebacking core, the defensive front, it's been solid. Now, we're not really going to see them overwhelmingly tested until they face Baltimore. Baltimore has that prolific game in which a quarterback can throw for 300 plus yards against you and numerous touchdowns. But along the way, you can continue to get better, and prepare for that game and get ready for that Buffalo game on that Sunday night up in Buffalo. So I think that the statistical numbers of the defense are going to continue to go up. That's obvious. I think the offense should continually get better. And I'm excited to see how many snaps David Bakhtiari gets in this game and how they manipulate the offensive line. I'm really excited to see that. And when Bakhtiari's fully back, is Josh Nijman now on the bench? Can you flip him to right tackle? Elton Jenkins is an unbelievable guard. Do you move him into the guard position? Then your offensive line is really solid. You got your best 5 offensive linemen consistently on the field. There's something to be said for that, which makes everything better. Pass protection, downfield capability, everything. Running game makes all of that better. And then, obviously, we're talking about the special teams and how it's been better. Now, granted, overall special teams still in Pro Football Focus, they're ranked 31, which is not good. But what you and I have seen up close and personal, what you and I have seen via the eyeball test, it's been better. It's not great, but it's been better. It's been better than what we've seen. And the near misses when it comes to blocking on punts and Pat O'Donnell getting a hand in his face, it's not been bad. Since that first game in which we saw them get up the gut a couple of times on special teams and get close to Pat O'Donnell. How he got that one that went 60 plus yards away, I have no idea. But I like that. I like that it's gotten steadily better, which is what you hope for throughout the season, because then obviously you're peaking come postseason. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Van Smack says, I have entered the Bill Good Stuff Michaels chat. No, we just took a look at a lot of stuff yesterday that people said we were being negative, and all we were doing was bringing up facts. That was it. Today, just saying, okay, what do you like about this team? What's funny is, I said, what do you like? I went through a whole list of things, and there's not a lot of people bringing up a lot of good, what you're really excited about. Rick says Luke Buckus did not rule out Yash playing right tackle and moving Elton inside, but Yash hasn't practiced on the right side much so far. Yeah, that's what we were talking about yesterday with Mike Clemens. You are correct. Thomas says, why not move Bakhtiari to right tackle? He's been an all-pro at left, and that is all he's played pretty much since the day he walked through the door. You're not going to move him. You're not going to move him. Yash has multitasked on this team, and Elton can move inside. He's better inside than he is outside. I wouldn't do that. If David Bakhtiari is your best left tackle, you don't move him. If he turns out that when he comes back and he's fully back and he's not on a pitch count anymore and it's the old David Bakhtiari, he's considered the best left tackle in football by many before he went down with the injury. Why would you move him? You don't do that. That would be like saying Aaron Rodgers is pretty good with his feet And maybe it would be better to, put him in the Wildcat. I mean, you wouldn't do that. That's saying if he was better with his feet. I'm only making an analogy here. I'm not saying that's the truth. So, but I get what you're thinking, but no, I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't go in that direction. 877-867-1670. Hit us up on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. Also today, don't remember, anytime you want to start getting in your fantasy football questions, do it. We got Paul Charchian coming in today. I need some advice on my fantasy football team. I have 2 starting quarterbacks. One goes tonight, and Joe Burrow, and Aaron Rodgers goes on Sunday. Josh Allen threw for 8.5 million yards against Tua and company, and that porous secondary of the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins defense is pretty good. They're not great. And Josh Allen had success against them. Do I go with Joe Burrow tonight, or do I think, okay, defensively speaking, Aaron Rodgers should be able to pick this defense apart? However, he doesn't have the same complement of weapons, and Bill Belichick is always good at just slowing things down and getting into the muck. So who do you go with? So that's my big question going into this fantasy this weekend. But get your fantasy questions in as well. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And I got my patio door. I love it. Absolutely, positively, 100%. Love the new patio door. It's lighter. It's brighter. It doesn't have the fog in between the glass panels anymore. It seals up. Last night we had frost. No cold air in my house, man. It was awesome. I got up this morning. I popped out of bed, showered up, ran downstairs, hand next to the glass. I had to go downstairs and get my suitcase anyway because I'm leaving today for lacrosse. But felt it, no cold. Love that thing. Love it. I can't wait to do a few fires down there in the great room, kick back and take it easy, and just start enjoying the football season, both college and pro. But today is it. Today and tomorrow. If you want 2 years, no interest financing, no payments, no money down, nada, you got to go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin right now. Get them ordered before the snow starts flying. Get them ordered. Get them in. Go to Pella, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. Or just call them, 855 Pella WI, 855 Pella WI. Give them a shout. You will not be sorry.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Because Matt Bushman, the Jays bullpen coach who picks up that historic 61st home run ball, is also the husband of Sarah Walsh. Remember her from ESPN. And I don't think she's with ESPN anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. But she is in Florida, where her husband is in Toronto. And she then tweets out, bad news, I'm down here in Florida battling a hurricane, but the good news is I can announce my retirement, figuring that her husband got the 61st home run ball. Then she watched on the television, like the rest of us did, as her husband handed it over and basically gave it, I don't know if it was security or who grabbed it. I just saw an arm and then, he walked away. But she then tweeted out, oh, cool. He just handed that back without checking to see if our house was even still here. I'd like to announce our divorce. Now, obviously, it's somewhat playful, but she started getting kind of roasted on Twitter. And then she said, just being a reporter doing work here, per my sources, Matt Bushman wasn't forced to give the ball back, but he handed it over to Zach Britton. And then she has her husband's Twitter handle says, told me the judge and Maris family have been flying all over the country. They deserve to have the ball. So in other words, she's like, what are you doing? That ball's worth millions and you're handing it back. And her husband tweets her back or texts her back and says, look, they've been flying all over the place. They deserve to have the ball. So then it makes its way back to Aaron Judge, who gets the ball and is very appreciative. And then he hands it to his mom, which is cool. It's a cool moment. The whole night was cool to see all of this. But man, she was getting lambasted big time. Sarah Walsh was, because her husband, the bullpen coach, gave the ball back. She works for the NFL Network now, Ben, you're saying?
Yes.
Is that where she's at? Okay.
I thought it was quite funny, the tweet.
I get it. I get it's humorous. There's some people that just don't take that stuff. In today's day and age, you can't joke about anything anymore. Can you even joke about anything anymore without getting completely torn up? I don't know if it's even possible. You're anytime you make a joke, you're always offending somebody. And, rather than just getting it and having a sense of humor to a certain extent, everybody gets their undies in a bunch over everything now. So that seems to be the society we're in.
It's also, you forgot the biggest part of this story. The guy almost caught it. So in Toronto, they have the bullpen below the stands, right, and a guy with a glove in left field reached over to catch it.
Right.
And first the TV caught him and he looked as sad as could be.
Oh, he was miserable. Yeah.
They interviewed the guy and they went into the whole story, and he is down really bad today.
He is a restaurateur, correct? He
yes,
owns a restaurant, or he's a chef at a restaurant, or both. But yeah, he's what people know him in the Toronto area. He's pretty well known, I guess.
His last name is Lasagna.
Is that seriously? Is that really his last name?
Yeah.
I knew it was Italian, but I didn't know what it was.
I'm going to find the name.
Lasagna.
Frankie Lasagna.
But that's not his real name.
Yes, it is.
Did he change his name to Frankie Lasagna?
He could have. Jeff Passan and Scott Brown, someone locally, had a story. Blue Jays fan Frankie Lasagna just misses catching the ball.
I've met a lot of people with a lot of wacky names. I have never met a lasagna. I've never met a lasagna I didn't like. Okay. So his Frankie Lasagna. By the way, the headline story now has changed over on Yahoo Sports from Hall of Fame to Hall of Shame. Favre has a whole new legacy. Oof. They just keep piling on, man. Bad. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Jeff Passan said Frankie Lasagna should have ricotta the ball.
Oh, my God. Huh. That's as bad as me.
It's the only thing that's making me smile today.
Man.
I'm enjoying it.
Oh, that's funny. We're going to talk with Zach Cox. He's with NESN up in New England, and he's going to give us a lowdown on the Patriots coming up here after the top of the hour break. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk a little bit about Mac Jones being in the building and his preparation, as they put it, as he continues to look forward to this game if he is indeed able to play. I don't think he's going to, but we will wait and see. But nevertheless, we're going to talk with Zach Cox of NESN coming up after the top of the hour. An hour and 10 minutes from now, the CHARCH is going to be here. Fantasy football coming up as well. We got a lot to get to today. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Alban. Speaking of Italian and lasagna and such, Albanese's Italian restaurant, the Roadhouse, right there on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield, next to Menards, across from Home Depot. Terrific place. If you're looking for a place to go and watch some of the game tonight, do that. Maybe a nice meal, good night out, family, wholesome fun, type of stuff over there. And Dominic Sports Lounge inside the place. Maybe you got a good shoulder and you want to do a little underhand bocce ball. They got bocce ball leagues going on. Plenty to do over there at Albanese's Roadhouse on Blue Mountain Road in Waukesha. Stay tuned to more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up after this. Ready?
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gina Della from Pella here. Wayne Larrabee and his wife Julie took advantage of our wide range of beautiful wood designs that can be painted, stained, or unfinished to complement any decor.
We have a lot of windows in this house. You match the craftsmanship of the woodwork around those windows to a T. That's a talented group of people doing that.
We like our wood tones, and so the ability to have wood tones some places and the white windows others, it worked really well for us and allowed us to have exactly what we wanted.
Pella's team of expert installers always provides service of the highest quality, starting with an in-home consultation and ending with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. We have the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. There's no reason to wait any longer because right now, put no money down, make no payments, and be charged 0 interest for up to 24 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
Expires 9/30/2022. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers getting ready to host the Patriots Sunday here in Green Bay. Defensive back Jair Alexander, who suffered a groin injury Sunday in Tampa, was back on the practice field yesterday, just limited to some light drills. Randall Cobb had a couple of big receptions against the Buccaneers, one for 17 yards, another for 40 after missing practice all last week.
I was pretty sick for a couple of days. I actually tested positive for COVID and had symptoms a few days before I actually tested positive. So I was pretty sick. It wasn't like I was just, I was just coughing and stuff. I was down. I slept 13 hours one night.
Patriots lost their quarterback, Mac Jones, to a high ankle sprain in a loss to the Ravens. 36-year-old Brian Hoyer will likely get the start and says he's ready for whatever's next.
I played for 14 years. I have a lot of bad memories. I have a lot of good memories too. So, one game doesn't define me. One, play doesn't define me. I'm excited for any opportunity I get a chance to go play.
Matt LaFleur.
Brian Hoyer is a guy that I got a lot of respect for. I remember watching a lot of the cut-ups from the 14 season, and, you could make the case and take all his great plays that he made, and you thought he was one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
And the Packers got some good news. The Packers' new punter, Pat O'Donnell, who spent 8 years in Chicago, was named the NFC's Special Teams Player of the Week. When's the last time that happened in Green Bay? Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
It's been a while. He's a pretty good punter. Happy he's on our team. Got a hell of a head of hair. He's a good presence in our locker room, and he's kind of happy to be on this side of the border.
That's Aaron Rodgers. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Good to have you back. Good to be back when it comes to hockey season as well. I know we have the NHL exhibition game down at the Fiserv Forum coming up, but the Admirals season right around the bend. And if you were looking for tickets to individual games, season tickets, some of the promotional events they have going on, it's a great event, whether it's date night, buddies, family, whatever it happens to be. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That's MilwaukeeAdmirals.com for ticket information, promotions, and upcoming. And they are heading for a Calder Cup. They are just, they got a win in the postseason last year. They're looking to expound upon that and get themselves back into the Calder Cup chase. So hoping for a really good season out of the Milwaukee Admirals. So aside from a couple of times when Tom Brady went down, now Tom Brady took over 2001. Went on to have the best career of any quarterback in NFL history. Played 20 years in New England. Didn't miss many games. The only season that he was sidelined was going back to 2008. He suffered that ACL tear. That was week 1. He was done the rest of the year. He missed 4 games in 2016. That was because of the suspension from Deflategate. Aside from those 2 instances, you don't see many backup quarterbacks in Foxborough. And that most likely will change this week when Brian Hoyer steps under center. Now, if Mac Jones is indeed unavailable, and we're going to talk with Zach Cox of NESN coming up here after the top of the hour, but if Brian Hoyer is going to be the guy for the team's Week 4 game against the Packers at Lambeau Field, Hoyer has lost his last 11 starts in a row. That's it, as a backup. Lost his last 11 starts in a row. The other quarterback on the roster is that was it Bailey Zappe, who they selected. Zappe. Okay.
Yeah, he's electric.
I was gonna say, well, okay. They got him this past year in the 4th round. They picked him up. So, not a great track record for Brian Hoyer. Even if it was Mac Jones under center, is good a job, I think, as Mac Jones did last year. I still would pick the Packers in this game, hands down. Undoubtedly, I'm picking the Packers. So, we'll talk with Zach Cox about this coming up here in just a little bit. But yeah, the last 11 games that as a backup quarterback starting under center that Brian Hoyer has had to come in and try to get the job done, he has lost 11 in a row. 11 in a row as a backup quarterback. So not the best of track record coming into this Sunday's game as the Packers get set to take on the New England Patriots. Another little piece of note that I saw today, Devontae Adams says all the Green Bay people will definitely still be on that, meaning statistics, trying to compare the stats and all that. But we're not doing that. We're not doing this thing for stats at the end of the day, Devontae Adams said on the adjustment period with the Raiders. And I did post it. I did have to jump on that for a second because I went, whoa, wait a minute. When, and this was, again, I posted this earlier because I was kind of thinking out loud here. Devontae Adams, when he had that press conference in Las Vegas after his first press conference, and they were asked, hey, money all being equal, why did you leave? And he said, well, with Aaron coming back for just this year, which kind of raised an eyebrow because we thought, wait a minute, does he know something that we don't? And then looking down the road, and then he said, I like Jordan and all, meaning Jordan Love, and then he stopped and then kind of went in a different direction. And and that was all I needed to know. In other words, he's not going to get the same statistics out of Jordan Love in a year or two that maybe he can get with Derek Carr in that relationship. And he, at one point he had said his career would not be complete without a ring. Okay. But then he started talking about Hall of Fame style numbers and the quote gold jacket. So now to come out and go, well, we're not doing this for stats. I mean, no, you are. That's a steaming pan load. You are. The problem when you say that is it's because you're not getting them right now. You're not getting a bunch of prolific catches and a ton of yards, and it'll come. I'm sure it will. But at this point, yeah, we're going to compare the stats. Sure. We all know it's crap, but it gives us something to do, something to snicker at, Especially if you're a Packers fan and you're saying, you left us. You left us. Look at you now. I bet you wish you could come back. Look at all the memes that have been out there with him with the crying Jordan face and such, So, yeah, that's okay. But don't try to snowball us. Come on, man. Come on. I'm going to talk with Zach Cox of NESN when we come back. Talk with him about this Patriots team. How good defensively are they? And then what does Brian Hoyer bring to the table? More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers have moved within half a game of the final NL wildcard spot after a 5-1 victory over St. Louis at American Family Field last night. Starting pitcher Brandon Woodruff did not allow a run in 6 innings of work and struck out 10, while the crew would add runs in the 3rd, 6th, and then put it away with a 3-run 8th inning. The Cubs also helped out the Brewers by beating the Philadelphia Phillies. Manager Craig Counsell was asked if he was keeping tabs on that game.
We got to take care of the game at hand. We know what's going on, but we got to take care of our job, and that's always going to be the focus.
The Brewers now welcome in the Miami Marlins tonight for a first pitch at 6:40 at American Family Field. Sunday, the Green Bay Packers welcome in the New England Patriots to Lambeau Field, and Aaron Rodgers talks about having to face a Bill Belichick-led team.
They have a lot of scheme they can get to. They're very well prepared, very well coached, and you got to be kind of ready for every coverage, pressure, 0, drop 8, a lot of different things. A lot of respect for Coach Belichick. He's best coach in the history of the game, I think.
Kickoff is Sunday at 3:25.
Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Saturday sees the return of Brett Bielema to Camp Randall as he brings his Fighting Illini of Illinois. Quarterback Graham Mertz says they're looking to bounce back from their loss against Ohio State and have all their goals in front of them.
Sitting at 2-2. Don't want to be sitting at 2-2, but it's a chance to respond right now that we're excited about.
For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Good day. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. Welcome to everybody on the network, all of you watching over on the Bud Light live stream as well. We certainly appreciate it, listening on the app. And don't forget, you can always catch us on the podcast, which is on Apple and Spotify and the Google podcast as well. So always track us down there. You can catch us on YouTube. So many different platforms to take in the program should you choose to do so. Joining us now, Zach Cox from NESN, covering the Patriots side of thing. Now joining us on the line, and it's at Zach Cox NESN over on Twitter. Zach, how you doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. So I know that we've got Mac Jones is in the building, and according to some reports that maybe he's prepping in some way to play in this game. What is the likelihood, do you think, that he actually plays?
I mean, I would be pretty surprised if he ends up getting out there on Sunday, just based on all the reporting that we've heard this week about the injury. It's still up in the air whether he's going to get surgery, whether he's not, but the kind of the bare minimum of kind of games missed seems to be at least 2 or 3. I feel like I would be surprised if we see him play in either of the next couple of games. So yeah, now this report's coming out now that he hasn't ruled himself out for this game, and he's told some teammates that to basically not count him out and not make it a foregone conclusion that he won't play. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing him getting out there just based on the severity of this injury. It would be a pretty miraculous 1-week turnaround comeback. And even if you have him out there, he probably wouldn't be particularly mobile and able to do a whole lot. So I don't know. I'm expecting the Brian Hoyer show this weekend. But I guess there is a chance that will not be the case.
Brian Hoyer, 0 for 11 in his last 11 substitutions, we'll say, as a backup quarterback. Is there an 0 for 12 on the horizon, or does he bring something to the table, and this team brings something to the table that's capable of knocking off the Packers?
I can talk myself into a scenario where the Patriots do win this game. I think they have enough talent around Brian Hoyer that if he is just a kind of capable caretaker game manager, I think the Patriots do have a chance of pulling an upset in this game. They don't need him to be anything special. They don't need him to carry this offense and win the game on his shoulders or anything like that. They just need him to go in there and not make costly kind of game-changing mistakes. No very, very bad turnovers, no kind of mental errors. And that's what hurt him the last time he was in this situation. 2 years ago, he had to start in place of Cam Newton in a game against the Chiefs. And overall, the Patriots actually were in position to contend and maybe even win that game. But Brian Hoyer had 2 really bad mistakes down in the red zone, cost them at least 6 points, potentially 14 points, and they ended up losing that game. If he doesn't repeat that, if he can just play a reasonably clean game and the Patriots can play the kind of defense that they've played and run the ball the way they have, I think they do have a chance of winning this game. But at the same time, it is hard to look at that 0-11 record in his last 11 starts and have a ton of confidence there. It's going to be, as of this Sunday, it'll be exactly 6 years since Brian Hoyer last started and won a game. So the recent track record with him is not particularly good.
What do the Patriots do well that you could really say this is what we would have to be able to bank on for this team to maybe offset what the Packers do well?
Well, I think they need to run the ball well, and that's been a strength of theirs through these first 3 games, which has been a little bit of a surprise because it's something they really struggled to do over the summer. They were implementing some new concepts and some new scheme type stuff, and the new implementations just really weren't working, and it looked pretty ugly in training camp in the preseason. But once the regular season has begun, they've really kind of gotten back to their old ways, running the ball with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, one of the better 1-2 punches in the backfield that you'll see around the NFL. So I think that's something that could favor the Patriots, especially since some of the advanced metrics out there suggest that the Packers' run defense isn't particularly strong. And also the Patriots defensively have been pretty good so far this season, especially in the secondary. If they can get a couple pieces back that they were missing last game, Kyle Duggar, their kind of versatile third year, do everything, didn't play the other day against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and the Patriots really missed him in that game. But overall, again, I think the Patriots are stout enough defensively and can run the ball well enough and do have just enough pass-catching talent around Brian Hoyer that they can win this game if they can avoid falling into any kind of double-digit early deficit that would force them to really go to the pass and really put the game on Brian Hoyer's shoulders.
Yeah, I was noticing, I was looking at the injury report, and I know you mentioned Kyle Duggar, Joshua Bledsoe, Adrian Phillips. The safeties are all got one thing or another that's kind of ailing them. You got the cornerback, Jalen Mills has the hamstring. He was back but limited. So they are somewhat nicked up right now. It's nothing that's completely detrimental, but there are some question marks there defensively in the secondary, right?
There definitely are. I would probably expect most of those players to play in this game. We don't know about Kyle Duggar yet. As I mentioned, he didn't play last week, but he has been practicing. Even last week before missing that Ravens game, he was at practice. So that would suggest that he's trending in the right direction at least. But a potentially big loss up front for the Patriots is Lawrence Guy, defensive tackle. Doesn't really get a lot of publicity locally or nationally, but he's a guy that's essentially started every single game for the Patriots over the last 6 or so years. He got to New England in 2017. Since then, he started 80 of a possible 84 games, I believe, for the Patriots and played in another 2. When you're going up against a team like the Packers that does have a pretty productive rushing attack, that's not a guy that you want to be missing in the middle of your defensive line. So he did not practice yesterday. We'll see if he's out there today, but that would be a pretty significant loss for the Patriots up front on defense.
Getting away from the X's and O's, I got to ask you, how frustrating is it to cover Bill Belichick?
It's something that takes a certain skill, I would say. I've been doing it for long enough at this point that you kind of know what will work and what won't work with him in those press conference settings. I know he has a reputation of somebody who basically never says anything and never gives the media anything. That's not exactly the case. If you ask him about the right topics in the right way, he'll talk your ear off for 6 or 7 minutes. But a lot of times in weeks like this, where there's a question about who will start at quarterback for the Patriots, we really do not have that answer. And Bill Belichick has not shown any interest in sharing that answer, which kind of goes back to the way he's always done things. With the success that he's had, it's hard to argue about it too much, but yeah, it definitely makes our lives a bit more difficult than it might be otherwise.
Yeah, because I call the Packers red China. I mean, they don't want to give you anything about anything, and they will answer like a politician. Bill Belichick doesn't even answer. He just stands there and goes, whatever, you know. I mean, it's – but then again, you talk to people and coaches, like we go to Super Bowl every year. We'll talk to people about Belichick, and they're like, he's really funny. He's really a jocular guy. I'm like, how in the hell can that be? You know what I mean? Other than putting his dog at the table to make a draft choice.
Yeah, we've actually heard that from a lot of players too, who come into to New England either for free agent visits or signing with New England or coming via trade. That's one of the first things they say. They're like, "Yeah, I'm surprised at how funny Bill is behind the scenes." So he definitely knows how to turn on a certain persona that he wants to portray in some of those media settings. Yeah, yesterday I think he said day by day 12 total times in his press conference when he was talking about Mac Jones and this whole injury situation. So, yeah, if he doesn't want to tell you something, it's pretty much impossible to get it out of him.
Talking with Zach Cox of NESN covering the New England Patriots. They're coming into town this weekend to Lambeau Field. What is the mood right now? Because Patriots fans are so used to success. And I thought last year was really, and it might have been Bill Belichick's, one of his best coaching performances to get the most out of Mac Jones and the team that they had as they continue to rebuild life after Tom Brady. I thought last year was spectacular. Give me the mood right now with Patriots fans.
Yeah, I think they're a little frustrated right now because, as you mentioned, last year did seem like a step in the right direction after the Cam Newton season, which was essentially a reset year for the Patriots. They were in a tough space cap-wise. They hadn't drafted well in the previous couple of years, and their roster just really didn't have enough talent that year. They went out and spent a ton of money in free agency last offseason. You definitely saw some improvements on the field. Then they kind of fell apart down the stretch and got blown out in the playoffs. But I think a lot of people were encouraged by the direction that the team was going in. And now it seems like it certainly hasn't taken the step forward that a lot of people were hoping for. I know a lot of people are pretty unhappy with the whole coaching setup this year with the way that Bill Belichick chose to replace Josh McDaniels, who was the Patriots' longtime offensive coordinator, basically replaced him with Matt Patricia, who's now calling offensive plays, and Joe Judge, who is now coaching quarterbacks for the Patriots. Those are two guys that have a ton of NFL experience, have been head coaches in the past, were longtime Patriots coordinators previously, but neither of them had ever called plays or worked with quarterbacks coming into this season. And the fact that you're now 3 games in, and this injury to Mac Jones notwithstanding, the offense has not looked particularly good so far. It's definitely been a work in progress, to put it charitably. So, yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are kind of unhappy with just the whole state of the organization at this point, because currently it does not look like the Patriots will improve on their record and their finish from last season. Again, it's still very early. There are some people who are basically calling this a lost season already. I think that's a little bit premature and a little bit strong, but you definitely don't see as much positivity as you saw at some point last season.
Yeah, you look at Josh McDaniels, he's over right now. Matt Patricia was a complete disaster in the Lions organization. Judge did not have any kind of a successful tenure with the Lions organization, then the Giants organization. So what is it about Bill Belichick that when his guys leave from underneath the wing, so to speak, that they just fail miserably? I mean, even go back to like Romeo Crennel, who didn't have much success when he was getting out of there. Nobody's had really mounting success under Bill Belichick.
Yeah, it's been tough. A lot of the coaches who have left New England for head coaching jobs, they've tried to kind of emulate Bill Belichick a little bit too much. I know Josh McDaniels had that issue the first time he was a head coach when he was in Denver. I know that was an issue for Matt Patricia because Bill Belichick is not always an easy coach to play for and to work with and to be around. And if you don't have that track record of success, you can turn off players pretty quickly. If Bill Belichick can do what he does because he's Bill Belichick and he has 6 Super Bowl rings with the Patriots and they've been successful for the last 20 years, if you're Matt Patricia coming into Detroit and trying to sort of play that same persona and you're going, I don't know, 4-11, 4-12 every year, it's kind of hard to get the buy-in that's necessary there. And ironically, one of the more successful Belichick assistants that's gone on to coach elsewhere was Brian Flores, who hadn't had any playoff success or anything like that, but seemed to be trending in the right direction. And then he was out of a job last year. So yeah, there's not a particularly long track record of these Patriots assistants going elsewhere and finding the kind of success that they would hope for.
Zach, great stuff. Look forward to seeing you up here at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, and then we'll touch base again soon, okay?
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thanks so much. There you go. Zach Cox, NESN, the New England Sports Network, and he covers the Patriots for NESN, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Yeah, it's when you start to think about all the coaches that have come out from underneath Bill Belichick and all the success that he has had, that they have had together as a group, and yet individually, just a ginormous crash and burn. And Josh McDaniels, again, he must interview extremely well. He's had 3 offerings, taken 2 jobs. Remember, he walked the Indianapolis Colts up to the altar only to beg out of that particular situation. And it seems to be somewhat of a statistical train wreck right now out in Las Vegas with the Raiders. It's just, man, the coaching tree. Unlike you go back to like the Bill Walsh coaching tree and then the Mike Holmgren, the guys that left Holmgren and such. And, now you've got the spinoffs of the Shanahans and the McVays and such. And there's been some success there. But you look at the Bill Belichick coaching tree, it's like, holy crap. Apparently Bill is the dictator and mind to all, and they're the minions who follow his lead, and the minions cannot emulate the master because the success it's just not there. You don't have Bill Belichick is not in that building without a doubt. So anyway, thanks to Zach for joining us for a couple of minutes and giving us kind of the insight. It does not look as if Brian Hoyer is going to get his first win in his last 12 attempts, we'll say. At least that's the thought That's prevalent. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. The riding season is not over. We're hanging on to it like grim death at this point. And if you're looking to ride, you're looking for warm motor clothes, you are looking for parts, accessories, or storage. Eventually, when you do decide to call it quits on the riding season, they've got storage. They can take care of your bike, give it service, oil changes and such, store it nice and comfortably away. Take care of your baby over the wintertime, and then bring it back in spring and get you ready to go. That's Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. It's right between, we'll say, Milwaukee and Madison, just south of the highway on 94 out in Oconomowoc. Give them a buzz or go to their website, wishd.com. Wishd.com. That is Wisconsin Harley-Davidson in Oconomowoc.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Did you know that our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery, not only are they in Peshtigo, they've got a terrific thing going on, but they've got an anniversary party coming up Saturday. This year's anniversary party going to feature music. The Cougars. That at least raises your eyebrows, doesn't it? The Cougars, food provided by the Gourmet Corn Yucatan Cuisine Food Truck and the Bay Area Burger Company. They're all going to be there. Wine and cider I'm telling you, the cider tastings, good stuff. Wine and cider tastings from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Cougars going to be taking the stage from 12 to 4. The food truck start at noon. Outdoor bar is going to be open from 12 to 4. The weather looks like it's going to be good. Limited parking on site, but they've got it down the road and Pesh Road right there next to the winery. Rain or shine, no tickets needed. It's wide open to the public, but come on by. That is Forgotten Fire Winery. And they have gotten, they have got wines, ciders, even sodas. So they got all kinds of good stuff, but the ciders are so good. They got so many different, they got a pineapple hard cider, strawberry apple cider, green apple cider, the brown sugar cinnamon cider. That'll make your pants fall off. That is fantastic. That is, I'm just telling you, they got a blueberry apple hard cider, a tangerine hard cider, but that apple cinnamon, yeah, that's a real deal. That is good stuff. Ben Kenny, I should get some of that and give it to you for, say, a college weekend. When you're out there
That'd be great.
Watching the Badgers. That would be, Ben Kenny would not be with us on Monday. Ben Kenny would join us probably Wednesday after that happens in those big jugs, because that's not your typical 4.5% alcohol cider. It tastes, it's like drinking, apple juice with carbonation in it. But, by the end of the night, you might do things to farm animals. It's that good. It's really a good cider. Just
if the Badgers keep losing, then yeah.
They're not going to lose to Brett Bielema. Right?
I don't know.
There's no way. No way they lose to Bielema.
They're 7-point favorites.
Yeah.
That's quite small.
Yeah, it is not a large, it's not a large margin of victory betting wise, but I think it's mainly based on the fact that the offense is just, even with Ingram being the new play caller and such, and it just hasn't materialized the way everybody had hoped. The first 3 games were supposed to be these prolific warm-ups where everything was just going to become finely tuned. And the offensive line was going to be a juggernaut. Braylon Allen was going to be running for, 3.2 million yards. And Graham Mertz was going to take that next step and look perfect. And Graham Mertz, for the most part, in the first few games, did not look bad. It wasn't like he was losing the games. But this defense, which was so vaunted and so good for so long, and really one of the top defenses in the country for more than a few years, has just fallen on hard times, for lack of a better term. But I still think that Illinois does not pose a higher level of threat. I will say this, though. The Badgers should have won down there in Illinois and got it handed to them by a Brett Bielema coach team last year. Was it last year? It was last year, right? That they went into Illinois and got knocked off?
No, 2019. That was Lovie Smith.
Oh, that was Lovie Smith. Okay. Oh, yeah.
And that was just turnovers. They handed the game away.
Right. They handed the game away the last time they had gone there, when they were favored to win that game. So hopefully that doesn't. Boy, 2019, has it really been that long? 3 years? Holy crap.
Yeah, it's been that long since the Badgers have played really good football, too, frankly.
Because last year, was it last year? Last year they went down there and they won. I'm sitting here looking at the schedule. And okay, so last year was the year they won. They won against Bielema down there 24-0. God, I got it mixed up. That was a Lovie Smith game. Holy crap, it's been that long. I don't know. That game sticks out to me because that game was one of those games where my jaw dropped. And I thought, there's no way I'm watching this happen. And I don't know why that seems more fresh in my memory than the game last year seems. But it just does. But there's no way they lose this game, right? Not going to happen.
I will say it's a better Illinois team than they've seen in a couple years. Definitely better than 2019. Better quarterback play, really good running back. Defense is playing great. They're not as good as Wisconsin, but if Wisconsin keeps playing like how they've played the last couple weeks, mainly the Washington State game and obviously last week at Ohio State, definitely possible. More possible than it's been in recent years.
Everything in the power index favors Wisconsin. Everything just does. When you look at the team stats, the points per game, they're relatively close, but Wisconsin's got an edge there. Although points allowed, which is somewhat stunning, Points allowed per game by this Wisconsin defense, 19 points per game. Illinois is allowing 8 points per game.
Well, they've played nobody.
Right. I agree with that. The Ohio State game obviously has really skewed those numbers, but losing 52-21. But they gave up 17 to Washington State. They completely shut out Wyoming. So it just, man. Just it's hard to believe that a Wisconsin Badger defense is averaging at this point in the season 19 points per game given up. So, 52-21 to take that kind of a beatdown. Meanwhile, you've got, like you said, really nobody. I mean, the loss for Illinois has come at the hands of Indiana. They lost on the road in Indiana. Close was 23-20, I think was that game. I will say this, they put a beat down on Northwestern. From last year, when you start to look at the last 5 games and the comparisons and where they're at and the way ESPN kind of projects them out, both of these teams played Northwestern. Both of these teams lost to or had struggles with, although Illinois in the battle for Illinois last year, they crushed them. But this year they played Wyoming 38-6, lost to Indiana, Virginia 24-3, UTC 31-0. They blanked them. Badgers with their big Arizona State win 20-13 last year when they start to compare the numbers. But still, Badgers should win this game handily. What were you going to say?
That Indiana loss it's tough. Indiana is horrible this year, beyond bad. But penalties, turnovers, they were sloppy, and the refs kind of stole the game from Illinois. I don't know.
Did the refs steal the game, or because we say that where the penalties cost?
No, the refs stole it.
Okay.
There was a touchdown that they called back that should have been a touchdown, and everyone believed was a touchdown. Okay. They called it incomplete.
Okay.
I don't know.
I didn't catch the Illinois game, so I'll defer to you on the college football Big Ten aspect of that.
Wisconsin should win handily, and the defense better play well, unless if they don't, there's a real problem. I also feel like it could be close very easily, given what we've seen so far from this team.
Yeah. I'm going to say the Badgers by 13. Badgers by 13, 27-14 at home. Badgers by 13. That would not be a bad win. You'd love to see the Badgers just roll. You'd love to see the offense get it going, but 27-14. That's going to be my go-to. Badgers beat the spread. Sound reasonable?
I could see that happening. I don't know what to believe. My brain is also so broken today because there's so much. Badger Twitter is just in shambles right now because there are some out there who watch the Ohio State game and are clamoring for changes and saying this program will never be great again.
Right.
And kind of forgetting reality of, what the program is and the resources they have and what they actually can do. So I'm excited to actually watch them play football again because it has been a tiring couple days trying to inform people the fact that they'll never be as good as Ohio State.
I still don't buy that. I just there's got to be thoughts of another level with this program. There just has to be. You can't just accept mediocrity and say, well, it's who we are. I don't buy that.
I would argue it isn't mediocrity at the heart. The success they've had is success.
Yeah.
The playing field is drastically different. Like I don't mean to be the sad guy today, even though I am. It's like there isn't another level. What Ohio State's doing right now, Wisconsin doesn't have the capability of getting there because they're not on the hot recruiting bed. Even if they raise their recruiting to top 25 in the nation, that doesn't do it. You have to bring in top 10, top 5 classes in the school. You can't change the weather. There are a lot of things you can't really change about Wisconsin.
Here's my question. What comes first, chicken or the egg? Because what you're saying is, we're not going to get those recruits until we win a championship, but we can't win a championship because we can't get those recruits. So in essence, you're just running in circles.
It's not only a championship thing.
You've dug yourself a hole and you're throwing dirt on yourself trying to dig out. It doesn't. It's wasted energy. So then why do it? Because, and when I say mediocrity, there's Ohio State, Michigan has had recent success, and everybody else is just going to bowl games. Because in essence, you're not winning the Big Ten, so you're not playing for a championship. So you're like everybody else, whether you're winning 7 games, 8 games, 9 games, you're all just going to bowl games. You're playing football and you're going to bowl games, right?
Wisconsin can win the Big Ten if everything aligns, but they won't get to a level where they are consistently as good as Ohio State.
But don't you think that if they win the Big Ten, that would then put them in the playing, obviously, for a championship, at least into the playoff?
Yeah, I differentiate making it to the playoff and competing for a championship.
I think if they get to the
Cincinnati
playoff,
was there. Cincinnati was there last year. Well, Michigan was there last year. They lost 38-0 to Georgia, and they look like teams on different stratospheres of talent, which is just the reality of the sport. It's unfortunate, but that just is what it is.
I was more impressed that Cincinnati hung than I was with Michigan, because Michigan is supposed to be a blue blood of football. Cincinnati is not. Cincinnati hung for a while, and then the game just kind of got away from them. Whereas Michigan, they're supposed to be a blue blood of football. That's the big house. That's Michigan football. That's Harbaugh. That, you know, they're supposed to be there. Like Notre Dame is supposed to be there. Alabama has become the staple by which we all they're the New England Patriots of college football, right? So they're supposed to be there. Clemson has had some success there. Georgia's had success there. Ohio State has had success there. But when you bring up a team like Cincinnati, I was impressed they had a showing.
Yeah, they did well.
You know, it proved to a lot of the big programs that if you do it right and you can catch lightning in a bottle, you can do this. And let's be honest, let's say you take Luke Fickell away from that program. What does that program become?
Not much.
Right. You put the right person in place. You tell me if suddenly the Big Ten and Wisconsin said to Luke Fickell, hey, because that's probably going to be Luke Fickell. I cannot believe he has not taken another coaching job and he has stayed that committed to the University of Cincinnati. And there's something special about that. When you got a guy that stays at what would be considered kind of the mid-major program, even though Cincinnati's a larger program, but a mid program like that, or a low-level football program, and he has stayed there, which is astounding to me. But if a place like Wisconsin came calling and said, Luke, we want to give you the job, and Luke said yes, do you not think that Luke Fickell, that head coach, then opens up different recruiting trails and gets into different areas and gets more recognition walking into homes than maybe Paul Chryst does right now?
I don't, honestly. And he might be a better coach. I don't know. But Cincinnati is recruiting at the same level of Wisconsin. They just caught a perfect season. They're a group of 5 team, so they don't play Ohio State. They don't play the great teams during the regular season. That was a really good Cincinnati team. That was definitely
their Notre Dame at Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, that was a good team, but they had the same level of recruiting that Wisconsin always has. So I think he would bring the same level of recruiting. Maybe you get a little better coaching. Like, it's still find success.
But with Luke Fickell, they have gotten more right there in their own backyard and stolen some of those top recruits from Ohio State. And the way they've done it is by saying you can go to Ohio State and be one of 5, or you can be the guy here. And that's the way they've started recruiting. And they've been successful at stealing some of, especially in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. They have stolen some of the bigger recruits that were looking at Ohio State and kept them at the University of Cincinnati. I'm just saying that if you got a guy that is capable of being structurally sound, top to bottom with coaching and such, and a guy that recruits like Luke Fickell does, do you think that you would have more success with Luke Fickell at the helm than you would have with Paul Chryst at the helm? Now, I'm not saying Paul Chryst needs to lose his job. I'm simply saying that the whole argument is we can't recruit because, well, we're not Ohio State. And Luke Fickell's doing it right in Ohio State's backyard.
He's still, I mean, I don't mean to be the bucket of cold water. He's still recruiting at a mid-30s, late 20s level, which is Wisconsin's ceiling. Wisconsin's already at that recruiting level.
But the point is that they were at the 50th and 60th echelon. And now they've moved up just because he's figured out a way to do it and do it better and build a better mousetrap.
Yeah. I think the difference between 50th and 25th is a lot smaller than the difference between 25th and 16th.
Completely agree. But I just wonder, you have to wonder what a guy of that ilk would then do with a large program. More money, more access, more NIL money, more ability to travel, more ability to go into different places, the stature of the Big Ten and such behind him. Now, I know that Cincinnati's going to be going to the Big 12 here soon, but, you know, I look at a program like that made it into the Final Four last year, and I think, you know, boy, you kind of look at the coaching and the success and you say, okay, it's not just a one-hit wonder. It's been since he's gotten there, they've had success, and he's had numerous people that have called and he's turned them down. So anyway, I digress. Let's do this. Step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gina Della from Pella here. Wayne Larrabee and his wife Julie took advantage of our wide range of beautiful wood designs that can be painted, stained, or unfinished to complement any decor.
We have a lot of windows in this house. You match the craftsmanship of the woodwork around those windows to a T. That's a talented group of people doing that.
We like our wood tones, and so the ability to have wood tones some places and the white windows others, it worked really well for us and allowed us to have exactly what we wanted.
Pella's team of expert installers always provides service of the highest quality, starting with an in-home consultation and ending with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. We have the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. There's no reason to wait any longer, because right now, put no money down, make no payments, and be charged 0 interest for up to 24 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
Expires 9/30/2022. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
BurnPitBBQ.com. BurnPitBBQ.com. Still, this weekend, a lot of tailgating going on, whether it's Brewers games, Badger games. You're going to be heading up to Lambeau, and you want to do it with sauces and rubs and all kinds of good stuff that they have there. Hot sauces even. That's BurnPitBBQ.com. BurnPitBBQ.com. And you can see for yourself and taste for yourself all that they have to offer. Really good stuff from BurnPitBBQ.com. Again, BurnPitBBQ.com. Veteran-owned right here in Racine, Wisconsin. So get a hold of them there. Let's do this because we are pressed up against it because we went a little bit long in the last segment. And I don't like to normally go right back to break, but we're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers, at least part of it coming up, some of his discussion. So I want to do that. Top of the hour, we've got Paul Charchi with fantasy football. So we're going to take another quick break, I promise. Come right back, and then we're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers, and then we got Paul Charchi and fantasy football coming up. We're going to hear from Luke Buckus coming up here at the in the next hour as well. We got some picks, some NFL picks and such against the spread coming up. So a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. I apologize, but we're going to get right back at it, so we got time to get Aaron Rodgers in. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers getting ready to host the Patriots here at Lambeau Field. The Packers finally had some good field position in Sunday's win in Tampa against the Buccaneers. Packers punter Pat O'Donnell has been named the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Matt LaFleur.
He was huge in that game, man. Really did a great job of help controlling the field position. And anytime you're able to get 5 punts down inside the 15-yard line was pretty remarkable. I thought our whole punt unit as a whole did a really nice job. Our flyers, obviously, Keyshawn Nixon had a nice play on the one we downed on the 2-yard line. Rudy Ford was flying down there, making plays, and the protection was good.
In Foxborough, Bill Belichick getting questions about Patriots quarterback Mac Jones, who suffered a high ankle sprain against the Ravens.
Saw Mac a little while ago, definitely getting better. Probably won't practice today. Made a lot of progress here in the last, 48 hours. Keep plugging away and take that day by day, see how it goes.
Do you expect Mac to start on Sunday for you guys?
Take it day by day.
Is the plan, Bill, for Mac to have any kind of procedure to
Day by day, Phil. Day by day. That's the plan. Day by day.
Does he have a high ankle sprain?
Day by day. What do I look like? A doctor, an orthopedic surgeon? I don't know. We'll evaluate him, Dave. I mean, what difference does it make to me? What do you think I'm going to read the MRI? That's not my job.
And former Packers linebacker Clay Matthews has decided to retire from the NFL. I asked Aaron Rodgers what's his favorite Clay Matthews story.
That I can share? Yeah. My favorite memories from Clay are off-season Clay. In-season Clay was obviously incredibly talented and focused, but there were a lot of days where he was kind of like an angry bear, and he'd wake him up and snap on you. But off-season Clay, man, wakes up every single day is the best day of his life. It was a lot of fun.
That's Aaron Rodgers. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Expect everything against Bill Belichick.
Everything could change in the game or before the game or halftime, third quarter. They have a lot of scheme they can get to. They're very well prepared, very well coached, and you got to be kind of ready for every coverage, pressure, zero, drop eight, a lot of different things. A lot of respect for Coach Belichick. He's the best coach in the history of the game, I think.
Rodgers, he was asked a question that you and I were discussing earlier today, and that is, what does maybe Bill Belichick consider to be the Packers offense? What are they doing really good right now?
I'm not going to give him any ideas, but I'm sure he'll look at what he thinks we do best and try and take away first and second options, and then have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D that I'm sure he hopes he doesn't get to, but I'm sure they'll have a great plan for us.
We have seen this team score 38 points in the first half and only 10 points in the second half of games so far this season. He was asked about the importance of making halftime adjustments to the game plan.
Oh, I mean, I think I'm always looking for in-game adjustments. I like to tease our staff sometimes when they make an in-game adjustment at halftime. Get really excited. There's some people that believe in, it's like momentum. Some people believe in momentum, some people don't. Some people believe in halftime adjustments, some people don't. So it just depends on what do you even classify, the definition of a halftime adjustment at times. But we're always making adjustments and tinkering and tiny little things to try and improve plays, both in the heat of the battle and then off on the side and at halftime and a bunch of other times.
Ben, I want to hear, give me the first portion of that statement again, because I think it's rather telling when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and his thought process on the, quote, halftime adjustments. Play it again.
Oh, I mean, I think I'm always looking for in-game adjustments. I like to tease our staff sometimes when they make an in-game adjustment at halftime. Get really excited. There's some people that believe in, it's like momentum. Some people believe in momentum, some people don't. Some people believe in halftime adjustments, some people don't.
There you go. That's it. In other words, halftime adjustments are crap. I'm always looking at every, Microsoft Surface Pro during the game to make an adjustment. But he's basically saying, when fans talk about it, that's kind of a fan's question. What about these halftime adjustments? What is it about the second half you can't score? And he's basically laughing at it, going, I make fun of those people. That's what he's saying. I make fun of our staff for these, quote, halftime adjustments because, and he's right to a certain extent, because, and I've told you, halftime is not, everybody doesn't run into a classroom and sit down. It's go to the bathroom, catch your breath, get any treatment you need in the trainer's room real quick, get a bite of something, whatever. And then you get maybe 3-4 minutes and you get something from your coach and then you're back out. There's not a whole lot of time for the, quote, halftime adjustments. So it's interesting because he kind of laughs at it. He kind of scoffs at it there. He was also asked about the left tackle, David Bakhtiari, and, how he's doing after those 35 snaps against Tampa.
I don't want to talk for Dave. I'll let Dave do all the talking. He's got big mouth and enjoys using it. So I'll let him answer that question, but he seems in pretty good spirits.
And then you got Rasul Douglas, and the comparison when he was asked, compare Rasul Douglas to Charles Woodson, and, who does the outside linebacker Rashawn Gary remind him of?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. He's a different body type. He's got a great motor. He's been productive every single game. I think he's had a sack every game. He's been in the backfield a bunch. He's tough to block, and he's earned that respect now where he's getting chipped on a lot of plays. The slide's going his side, so a lot of credit to how hard he's worked. And when he came in, he was kind of a one-trick pony. He had kind of some speed, and he started developing the power, and then he developed the moves, and then he became really tough to block.
The Patriots pass rush, our defensive end, Dietrich Wise Jr., Judon, the outside linebacker, he discusses what the pass rush can do to you or how he feels about the Patriots pass rush coming into this game.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's got 3 sacks, and 91's got 4, so they got a good pass rush. Plus, they give you a ton of different looks, with empty pressures and adjustments and checks of their own, delayed blitzes, spying, a lot of different things they can do. So it's, we got to be aware of where he's at because he's a game wrecker.
The guys on this team that are right now, kind of coming back from injury, and the fact that at least now you've got Bakhtiari back, Elton Jenkins is back, Tanyan, who also had the ACL injury. All of these guys, Rodgers touches base on all of them and all the recoveries and all these guys finally coming back.
Bobby? Yeah. I think it's just confidence for both him and Elton and Dave as well. When you come back from an injury, whether it's at 9 months or 12 months or however many months, that's a significant injury, and it's I think Bobby's getting close to that feeling that he felt a few years ago where he's dangerous after the catch. He's got good moves, and he can also put his head down But I just want to see him get even more comfortable putting that foot in the ground and cutting off it and then making some guys miss after the catch. And I think he's getting close to that. He's feeling better. He's doing some really instinctual things out there, and it's just kind of the next step is the last little bit of confidence.
And then, after the win over Tampa, you got New England coming up without their quarterback. You guys start looking ahead and talking about what's upcoming, and that is the London trip.
No, because we don't talk like that in the locker room. That's outside the locker room fodder. Nobody ever talks about letdowns or emotional setbacks or trap games or any of the code words you guys use. We have a standard at which we play, and that's the standard. If it dips below that, we don't attribute that to anything other than the preparation we put in, the way we practiced, and the focus for that game. So I know those are fun code words for you guys to use, and I respect them. And shoot, I've heard them, being a fan of the game for a long time, but we just don't approach it that way.
There you go. That is Aaron Rodgers. Get your fantasy football questions, and we'll get some more from Aaron Rodgers later in the program, some pertinent stuff, but get your fantasy football questions in now. Paul Charchian, he's going to be joining us. Fantasy, guillotine leagues, all that kind of good stuff. That is coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are just a half game back of Philadelphia for the final wild card spot in the National League. That's after a 5-1 win over St. Louis last night. Brandon Woodruff was great over 6 innings, didn't allow a run, and struck out 10, his 4th straight double-digit strikeout game. Magic Craig Counsell was impressed.
I mean, he continues to pitch really well. The changeup is a really good pitch right now. And I thought his curveball was a really good pitch tonight as well. So his both off-speed offerings outstanding. And he's going to bring the great fastball and pitch really well for sure.
Milwaukee broke the game open in 8th with 3 runs. That included a 2-run double from Victor Caratini. Milwaukee gained a game on Philadelphia due to them losing in Chicago, though Counsell said it wasn't on their radar during the game.
No, we got to take care of the game in hand. We know what's going on, but we got to take care of our job, and that's always going to be the focus.
Milwaukee has 7 games left: 4 against Miami, 3 against Arizona, while the Phillies have 8 left: 1 more against the Cubs, 4 against Washington, and 3 against Houston. It'll be the Brewers and Marlins tonight at American Family Field. First pitch is at 6:40.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Packers are back in the field for practice as they continue to prepare for a visit from New England on Sunday. Patriots are likely going to be without quarterback Mac Jones. He's got an ankle injury that's expected to keep him out a couple of games. Veteran Brian Hoyer would start in his place. The Badgers going to face Brett Bielema in Illinois on Saturday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, print.
that you were having watching live scoring come in?
I was sweating because one of the guys that I had was going down. Joe Burrow was getting the hell beat out of him, so I knew I wasn't going to get many points there. The Vikings were eking by. So I'm kind of like, wow, I'm just kind of holding my breath. The Vikings were actually getting beat in week 2, so I was kind of eking by there. Yeah, it was a little petrifying.
That is a tricky spot you found yourself in. Now, I like Joe Burrow in this matchup. I don't think this is a very good Dolphins secondary that we're going to see tonight. They've already allowed, let me look at the number here, 900 passing yards this season, second most in the NFL. You just got to hope Burrow can stay upright. And I think he can. Man, his receivers are so good. And T. Higgins having a fantastic season. He's thrown for at least 275 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2 of the 3 games. I think, just look, when you look at the totality of the receiving help, I've got Burrow 2 spots higher than Rodgers. I've got Rodgers at 9. I got Burrow at 7. I'd roll him out tonight. And, the Dolphins also, all the intangibles working against the Dolphins, right? Already a short week. They had to leave town early because of the hurricane. Also, they played a long game last week in 95-degree heat. And I don't know if you saw Stephon Diggs was talking about getting a double IV. I don't know if that's like 2 fist and beers where you got an IV in each arm. Is that what that's like?
I guess. Yeah, you're getting it all done.
Right. I mean, that's a long game that wears you down. And then you've got the short week. There's a chance the Dolphins come in super flat tonight. So, yeah, I'd play Burrow if I were you.
Okay, here we go. We got Tua or Russell Wilson this week. That's from Kevin over on the live stream.
Look, you can drop Russell Wilson.
Drop him.
I mean, he is who he is. I mean, the hope was that he would be better now in Denver, but really nothing has changed. In fact, his numbers are down right now. And, maybe they get better with a healthier Jerry Jeudy, but Judy's played in 2 or 3 games. So you can't even necessarily point at that. Maybe Russell Wilson just is the guy that we've seen for the last year's worth of games, which is like 220 yards and 1.5 touchdowns a game. I can find that at the 7-Eleven. Or maybe to make this more Wisconsin centric, at the Quick Trip. I can get, I can get that anywhere. I can start Carson Wentz. I can start Ryan Tannehill. I can start Jacoby Brissett. I got a lot of places I can get that. Let's just stop with Russell Wilson. He is a stopgap bye-week injury fill-in, and that's all he is.
And also a plug that Quick Trip carries everything, which is nice. I like that. I can get that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're right. You want dinner? Quick Trip. In fact, here's my favorite Quick Trip story from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I went to Quick Trip and I wanted to buy a banana, and the banana is like a quarter. So I go up to the guy to pay for the banana, and he goes, "Don't, just go.
Really?
Don't even bother." Yeah. Because I think the cost to process the banana, the credit card processing charges are higher than the profit on the banana. And so the guy's just get out of here.
Free banana.
I'm not saying it'll work at your Quick Trip, but it worked at mine.
I'm going to walk in there and act like I'm cramping up and need the potassium stat and see what happens.
The potassium fast.
Right.
That's right.
Corey says, in a PPR league, I needed running back help. Would you trade away Christian Kirk or for Devin Singletary?
No. Christian Kirk is a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. Devin Singletary is in a rotation of backs. And granted, he had a good game last week and he's got a promising matchup this week, but he's in a rotation of backs on a team that basically hates their running backs, the Bills. I mean, that whole offense is all about what they get out of their quarterback. And so, no, they're not trading a top 10 fantasy asset like Christian Kirk has been and will likely continue to be as the focal point on an up-and-coming Jaguars offense. Jaguars are one of the great stories of this season.
This one is from Alex, who says, so we already talked a little bit about Tua, but Tua against the Bengals tonight or Stafford against the Niners come Monday?
Yeah, Niners defense has been awesome, and Stafford has been really very middling as a fantasy producer. So I've got him way down at quarterback 19 this week. And granted, the Niners haven't faced great passers yet, but they rank number 1 in passing yards and number 1 in passing touchdowns allowed. So no, I'm not starting Stafford when I've got in that situation.
I got another one here. This is Russell or Gino. And do I go, let's deal with that one first. Russ or Gino? fantasy question, Russ or
Okay. I just told you I don't love Russell Wilson.
Right.
I'm not ready to start him over Geno Smith yet. Although Geno hasn't been bad. He's just a low end fantasy producer, and they're only separated by 4 spots. The Detroit secondary is bad, so I mean I can understand the thinking on this, but I think I would still play it safe with Russ. But I wouldn't blame you if you want to dart throw Geno Smith. I wouldn't blame you. Russell's my number 20 ranked quarterback, and Geno Smith is 23.
And then the second half of that question, by the way, says at the wide receiver position in a full PPR, do I go Dubs, Samuel, Mike Williams, or Renfro? Romeo Dubs, Samuel, Williams,
Renfro's
or Renfro?
Not going to play.
I didn't
He's
think
out.
so.
So let's talk Dubs. Was last week the breakout game? Is this the beginning of what we can expect for normal production from Romeo Dubs? What do you think?
Yes, because I just as much as I want to say, you still got the serviceability of Randall Cobb, and eventually you're going to get Christian Watson back. But I think Romeo Dubs has more upside and probably is approaching the level of a guy like Alan Lazard. Lazard's a terrific route runner, but he's not dynamic. I think Dubs can be dynamic, and I think they're going to look to him more and more. And I also think that they're going to start involving Robert Tonyan at the tight end position more and more.
I don't know if that helps or hurts Dubs. I mean, they need to get other options rolling. But if this is the beginning of what should be, hopefully a long, productive career, and Lazard hasn't done anything that's made me go, he's really pulling away as the number 1 wide receiver. I get the feeling that Lazard feels to me more like just a steady number 2, and they're waiting for Dubs to just take command as the best receiver. Does that feel fair?
Yep. Completely agree.
All right,
100%.
I think we're at the beginning of something special for his career. Let's hope that that's the case here. I don't even remember the question anymore. I sidetracked it on talking about.
Well, it was Romeo Dubs. It was the question regarding the
Michael Williams.
Michael Williams.
Mike Williams. No, you got to start Mike Williams against Houston.
Right.
So that's the A starter in this scenario. But long term, we like Dubs to play well going forward.
Then this one is, where did it go? AJ Dillon or Kareem Hunt at the running back?
Okay, well, so let's drill down on Dillon for a minute. So, we're seeing diminishing returns every game this year. Had the really nice week 1, and now it's slowly gone down. Now, last week he was at 2.7 yards per carry. So, and granted, it was very good Tampa. Lots of running backs struggling in Tampa. So, I don't want to read too much into it. So, I mean, you tell me, are we even split here with Aaron Jones? Are you a little more down on AJ Dillon right now? Because I don't love what I've seen so far.
I agree. I think Dillon he's the north-south punisher, and Aaron Jones is more the scat back that's being threatened. Now they're being thrown to out of the backfield. Both of them are, but I just see more productivity out of Aaron Jones right now, and AJ Dillon's productivity is down, and that's also because they played decent defensive fronts. Don't get me wrong, but he's more north-south, and Aaron Jones is more I'm finding the hole and moving around.
Patriots are another brutal matchup. They have not allowed an opposing runner to score a touchdown, land, sea, air. They are giving up less than 4 yards per carry, even fewer than the Bucs. This is another brutal matchup, and so I'm nervous about Dillon here. I hope they get him going more through the air because you can beat New England a little better through the air. But I still trust Jones way more in that role. I've got Jones at running back 20. I got A.J. Dillon at running back 27. I'm nervous about these matchups.
Josh Jacobs or Chase Edmonds coming to us from the Bud Light live stream.
Chase Edmonds, he had a couple of touchdowns on goal line carries last week and has otherwise been awful with everything he's done all year. And can't even tell you that he's the starting running back. So Chase Edmonds to me is basically dead. If you've got any other plausible options, we're not going to take him.
This one is an interesting question because Dalvin Cook down right now, correct? Does that mean Madison's going to get a lot more touches?
Well, Dalvin Cook's not down. They say he's going to play. He'll play with a shoulder harness on, and that worries me a little bit. What if he fumbles early with the shoulder harness? And he's played with it before and been okay. In fact, in some cases, he's played with it very well. And he's been through this dislocated shoulder before. And these guys are such Iron Men, right? The dislocated shoulder, they pop it back into place, and then they're fine. But still, you worry a little bit about the shoulder. You worry also little bit about a very good Saints defense that has run an overall run defense that's been, borderline great. So I do worry a little bit that way. The biggest issue with Dalvin Cook, and I mentioned this, I think either last week or the week before, the team has now run 30 plays in the red zone. Vikings have 3 touches for Dalvin Cook. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the easy touchdowns just aren't coming. And that worries me. Dalvin Cook's my number 16 ranked running back this week.
Would you start Williams over Robinson and London over Lockett?
Well, there's a lot of Williams in this league, so you got to be the emailer or the texter's got to be more specific because there's Javonte, there's Jamal Williams. How about Jamal Williams leading the NFL with Jamal Williams leading the NFL with 4 rushing touchdowns, 3 of them from inside the 5-yard line, and he'll continue with that role. DeAndre Swift is not going to play in this game, and I like him.
Did we lose Charge? I think we did. Charge dropped off. There it is. I wanted to get a sleeper. We didn't get a sleeper, Ben. He started, but the question was, would you start Jamal Williams over Tyler Lockett, since Tyler Lockett not getting all the run. Lost him.
I'll shoot him a text. I'll get a sleeper.
Yeah. See if he gives us a good sleeper. I know he's pressed up against, and he's probably getting ready because he's got to go on the air in Chicago because he's on a tight schedule. But, that was it. Paul Charchian joining us. And then abruptly, hopefully everything's okay. It wasn't like a telephone pole fell down outside of his house or the cell tower caved in or something. Hopefully he's okay. But we'll touch base with Charch again next week. Always good stuff, though. Oh, he's back. Charch, you okay?
Hi. Yeah, we could wrap up for another minute or two. Okay. Why not? Yeah, I don't know what happened. I didn't touch my phone. I don't know. Just, these things happen.
So here's the question. There's always the question is, give me a sleeper, something out there that, a lot of people aren't necessarily looking at right now. So let's talk about that.
Jacoby Brissett, quarterback for Cleveland, who's not normally a guy who stuffs box scores, but he's played amazingly well in back-to-back games. He's got the Falcons this week. They've allowed the 4th most passing yards, the 3rd most passing touchdowns. And what I love is that we've got very plus matchups for Amari Cooper and David Njoku. So I kind of like Jacoby Brissett. If you're in a pinch at quarterback and you're looking for somebody to help you out, I got Brissett ahead of Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson. He's my number 15 ranked quarterback this week. So I think he's very serviceable.
Brian Hoyer is 0-11 in his last 4 starts. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Is there any reason in the world to think Brian Hoyer can help your team?
No, there's no reason whatsoever. It was a brutal matchup. That was a brutal. And Mac, by the way, they're saying Mac Jones might actually play. He suffered. I don't know if you saw the video. Somebody captured video of him hobbling into the locker room, howling in pain.
Right.
I mean that. His high ankle sprain is severe.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't try to play him in this game.
Yeah.
I know Hoyer's a total non-starter, but so your team's going to get effectively a bye week. You're going to roll over the Patriots. The Vikings may be playing the Saints without Jameis Winston, who looks like he may not go after not practicing today. Didn't practice yesterday, and Michael Thomas may miss the game as well. So both of these NFC North teams may end up catching a break with some of the injuries that have affected the opposing quarterback.
Always good, Charge. I don't know what happened, but I'm glad we got you back and you're okay. And we will talk again next week, pal.
All right, that's the deal. Talk to you.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go. Paul Charchian joining us from Guillotine Leagues, the Guillotine Leagues of the Charch. And that's where you can find his stuff. And he is the CEO of the Guillotine Leagues. He's in our media league, of which I went from winning my first week, number 1, to being second to last and sucking swamp water in week 2. And then last week, I actually did pretty well, and I moved up a couple of spaces. But nevertheless, not the best. When we come back, going to hear from Matt LaFleur. Stay tuned for that. Also, going to take some NFL picks here at the bottom of the hour as well. We got all of that coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by friends at New Mail Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders as well. And if you got it, you know it, they can help you. 98% success rate. Call my guys over there or any one of their locations. There's one phone number, 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. How about low T treatments? Maybe you're tired, you're moody, you're slow. You can't figure out why you're just dragging ass, kind of up and down. Could be low T if you're over the age of 30. Takes you maybe 10 minutes. The other day I went in 9 minutes in and out. Boom. Just to kind of get everything checked, make sure I'm good. 9 minutes in and out. And they let you know the next day or the day after. And they say, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what we want you to do. And you're good to go. That's my friends from the New Mill Medical Center. Otherwise, you can even go in for the all-in-one weight loss program because here comes Halloween candy, then Thanksgiving, pumpkins, pies, all that kind of good stuff. Then cookies, holiday stuff, cakes. Oh, man. Before you know it, boom, New Year's Eve gets here. You go out, first time in a few years. You go to put on that tuxedo. Boom, ass blows through everything. You got to take it off. Start it right now. 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. Back after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This fall, it's give and take at Potawatomi. Thursday nights, give yourself a shot at winning slot play or up to $5,000. And with 60 winners each week, you've got a good chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. Just play with your club card October 1st through November 17th for entries. The Give and Take Game Show, each Thursday and only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More at pacebig.com/give and take. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The best I have ever had in my home, and I have it. I can't recommend it enough for so many reasons. I've been telling you about it for a while, but if you're looking for the new Connecticut water softening system, whether to rent it, to buy it, maybe you're renovating your home, and a company that supports causes like the Custom Canine Service Dog Academy, that's the Water Doctors. Call them. Check them out, H2, the letter O, H2ODoctors.com, H2ODoctors.com, or call them directly, 262-549-7733. That's John Atley and the gang, and they are great people, really good philanthropic people. And he's kind of a whiskey and bourbon connoisseur. So if you're going to put that in your home, maybe you got that to talk about and share a little bit, but also a golfer. He participates in a lot of different charity golf outings as well. But call him 262-549-7733 or go to H2, the letter O, Doctors, H2ODoctors.com. That's H2ODoctors.com. Matt LaFleur, now he was just at the podium, Ben, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this. Let's dip into what Matt LaFleur had to say today in regards to the game upcoming this week. Here's what he had to say.
They got a pretty good duo running back. Obviously, your guys are stylistically different. How about those with their backs?
Yeah, no, their backs are really hard. I want to say yards after contact is really good as well, and they do a good job up front. So it's definitely they definitely have a really good run game.
You go pads today, or are you going no pads for this week?
No, we're gonna go shoulder pads today.
And the plan is still have Elton go today and David sit?
That is the fluid plan that we adjusted to.
What makes the decision for you guys on kind of a week-by-week basis of how you treat Wednesday and Thursday? Because I know, earlier in the season, maybe before Vikings looked a little different.
Just week to week in terms of kind of where we are with our players, and just coming off the game we've had, and just thought it was in the best interest of our guys to give them another day to more or less recover a little bit more before we hit the pads.
On special teams, a couple of weeks ago, Rich said, if you played for me for 20 years ago, it would be pretty much the same thing. That his stuff that doesn't get too fancy. Can you describe, is that what's working for you? That these players are working more on technique rather than changing in and out? Why you're improving?
I think it's a combination of many things. I think certainly, we've invested a little bit in that room. Some of those guys obviously have made a huge difference for us, but I think, it's the approach, it's the mentality, it's everybody buying into the system. Certainly Rich you guys see him out there. He gets after them pretty good, and the guys respond. So it's a credit to everybody, and just in terms of taking pride in that area. And I think you're seeing the benefits of that. Every week's gonna be a great challenge. This is one of the premier teams in the league in that area, so it'll give us a good indication of where we're at.
Rich has said that coaching with you has rejuvenated him. He's really enjoyed it. But what's some special teams things that maybe you've learned from him that you maybe weren't aware of or didn't have as keen of insight?
How much time do you got, Ryan? There's been a lot. Just like learning something new in every phase, from just the different techniques, how we call different things. Just some of the indicators that tells away in regards to what somebody may try to do to you. So there's so many different areas that I've learned a lot of ball from him.
How did Jair look yesterday? I know it wasn't like a super full practice, but he did some moving around, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, I mean, he looked fine for what we asked him to do. So we'll have a better indication today.
When it comes to as good as your defense has been on third downs, what kind of mentality does it take to be great in situations like that, especially when you get into those close games in the second half?
Getting in offenses in third and long. So first and second down efficiency is absolutely critical, so you're not in those third and shorts. And I think our defense has done a nice job in it. And quite frankly, we've done a really good job in some of the short yardage situations to force a fourth down and then the offense has a decision to make. So, I think it's just everybody doing their job and, not trying to make plays, just letting the plays kind of come to you. And that's what is so important about whether it's offense, defense, special teams, it doesn't matter. Everybody has a responsibility. And if you execute your responsibility, you have a good chance of succeeding. But certainly in regards to third down, it's obviously an advantage for a defense if it's third and long versus third and short.
Matt, what have you thought of the start that Wise has been off to? And is there anything that's kind of jumped off the film with him so far this year in Detroit?
Just an impactful player that, can create havoc.
Going back to the special teams, how important was it to add Dallin and Keyshawn and Rudy just to kind of give some ownership to that?
It was very important. Certainly Dallin's had a history with, and Keyshawn have had a history with Rich. So they're kind of, coaching up other players along the way. And then, but just the mentality, the effort they give, the speed down the field, it's been pretty evident, I think, on kickoff, on our punts, watching Rudy and Keyshawn as flyers, just showing up and Pat's done a heck of a job. I think Dallin's done a great job as our personal protector. So all three of those guys have had a big impact for us.
You got a few players or coaches or guys on staff and family in Florida that are concerned with what's going on there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know exactly how many players. I know a couple of our coaches' families are down there. Certainly, wishing everybody well down there. I mean, that's a bad deal. That's out of everybody's control. And as far as updates on everybody's situation, I'm not quite sure. I think I was made aware of Dre put something out, I want to say, on social media yesterday and of where he grew up, but I haven't had a chance to really talk to him about it yet.
That's good. Thank
you.
you.
There you go. Guys. That's all she wrote with Matt LaFleur as he addressed a few things. They're going to, the plan is Bakhtiari's today. Elton Jenkins is off. Elton Jenkins came back. Elton Jenkins, Bakhtiari's off. Elton Jenkins is going to be back today. They're going to rotate those guys in. And he doesn't want to give up a lot of information. Some of the guys are kind of waiting to find out about some family members and such when it comes to what's going on down in Florida and Hurricane Ian. But nothing real deep. I always like and I know Bill Huber asked it, but I always like are you going to be in pads today? It was one of those things where if you go to the practice, you just see it. He's kind of like, yep, we're in pads. Yeah. It's just, sometimes you can tell by the answer. It's like, come on, guys, give me something more than that, a little bit more to chew on. But then again, if you do ask an in-depth question, you're always going to get the, the stand pat craptastic answers. So it's kind of a catch-22. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Epoxy Flooring Done Right, providing Wisconsin home and business owners epoxy flooring coating services at reasonable prices, top quality workmanship. They've got colors and finishes. They can paint your room, all kinds of different stuff, whether it's industrial, homeowner-wise, maybe a small business, maybe a car showroom floor, or maybe your showroom floor, whatever it happens to be. Get a hold of our buddy Sean, 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852. Again, 262-443-2852, or go to epoxyflooringdoneright.com. And remember, they are Wisconsin-based. So you're not dealing with a group from outside of the area that if you have a problem, you got to go fishing for them. Where Sean, he's right here in our own backyard. And that's one thing to keep in mind with some of these services from out of state. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
and thanks for supporting us. So there you go. Getting back at it, the NFL, we've got games to pick. Ben, do we have music for this?
We have music for this.
Let's do this.
I should give a quick update.
Yes.
After 3 weeks, I am sitting at 3-6. I've gone 1-2 every week, perfectly mediocre. You are 4-5 after a 2-1 week last week.
This is a different week, a little bit tougher week. But the first one that I'm going to pick, I am not choosing tonight's game. I'm going to go with the Vikings taking on the Saints. They're going down to the Big Easy, so to speak, but they're actually going to be in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is where they're going to be. Minnesota giving a couple on this, 2.5 to be exact. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Correct. There you go. I'm going with the Vikings. Vikings get the win. I'm going to say the Vikings get the win by 7. So I'm taking Vikings over the Saints, given the points. There you have it. Give me your pick.
Wow, I like that pick. I also believe it's Tottenham, if you speak English.
Tottenham.
Yeah. They don't like H's over there, apparently. I am going to take my first one, the Atlanta Falcons, +1 at home against the Browns. I like the Browns. I think they have a good roster. I think the Falcons are a little frisky, at least offensively. And we saw the Browns against the Steelers last week, probably without Myles Garrett this weekend. But they beat the Steelers, but that was an ugly one. And their offense is not where you want it to be. So I'll take the Falcons +1 at home.
This is my long shot. And I'm staying kind of closer to home, so to speak. I'm taking the Lions are given 4. Over Seattle. And it's not very often the Lions are 1 favored and 2 that they're giving points to this point particular, extent. Usually it's by a couple. Lions at home. I'm getting the Lions to cover the spread, get the win. I'll take the Lions 21-12. Weird score, I know. 21-12 over the Seattle Seahawks. So
they're a weird team.
They're a weird team, but I'm taking the Lions. It's kind of my long shot here.
That's like the Chargers for years. Impossible to play a normal game. There are always safeties and field goals and missed extra points there. My next one, Buffalo -3 in Baltimore. I'm in on the Ravens. I'm obviously in on the Bills, but that Ravens pass defense is quite horrid where we stand today. Right. And the Bills are pissed off after last week. I think they win handily in Baltimore.
You and I were kind of talking about that last night. I can't go in that direction, but the one that everybody's picking to be an upset. The Jaguars over the Eagles. Philadelphia given 6.5. I'm taking the Jags. Not only to cover, but I'm almost talked into the fact that the Jags may win this one. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a win for the Jaguars, but I think the Jaguars at least cover in this particular sense. And the Jaguars getting 6.5, 7, we'll say. I'm going to take the Jaguars. So I got the Jaguars going into Philadelphia. So there you go. That's my 3 picks of the week.
I like that pick, actually. It's one of those, the markets are probably too high on the Eagles where we stand, and I don't think they understand how good the Jaguars are or could be under Peterson. I like that. I think it's going to be a close one. My last one for the week, the Carolina Panthers at home against the Cardinals. As I said last night, the Cardinals are off fraud watch. They're just bad. And while I don't like the Panthers very much and McCaffrey might not play, it's just a weird spot. -1.5 at home. I don't know. This is just a gut play. My brain tells me the opposite. So I've made a lot of money doing the opposite of what I think, if that makes sense. So I like the Panthers.
The other one that we could have gone with that is a little baffling to me, it's San Francisco given 1.5 and the over-under at 42.5, taking on the Rams on Monday night. I know the Rams are a little iffy. I know they're not scoring as prolifically as they were last year. Cooper Kupp is being held down. They don't have another real go-to guy, and Matthew Stafford's elbow questions continue to linger, and their defense is not the same without Von Miller. So, but it's when was the last time you saw San Francisco favored over the Rams? With even, San Francisco's not a great team by any stretch. But, San Francisco. So I would have probably taken the Rams to win outright, but we already made our 3 picks. But that would have been one of my my head-scratcher picks, so to speak.
My bonus pick for the week, I will chime in and say Bears Giants under 39.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised if they get to double digits.
And I already stated, I think the Badgers cover. Badgers cover and go beyond. I'm going with it. Badgers get a good win. That's going to be my college pick this week.
I hope so.
Let's say the Badgers turn around and they win this thing 42-10. Do you start to feel better about where they were last week? That maybe they just got punked on national TV and just dug themselves too early a hole and turnovers, and Ohio State just boat raced them early, and it was just all an apparition?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm not that low on this team. I don't think what happened on Saturday is who they are. It's more the offensive line still isn't there yet. And the Washington State game makes me more concerned, I guess, than the Ohio State does. If they throttle Illinois and the defense looks really good and the offensive line looks great and they run the ball and Mertz does what Mertz needs to do and not turn the ball over, yeah, I feel better because the rest of the schedule, every game is winnable. Like Michigan State's bad. Iowa can't score. Nebraska's a mess. Northwestern is just horrid.
Right.
But you could also look across the schedule and say they're all losable, which I would also agree. It's one of the, this is a turning point. Yeah. Either they turn it around right now or it kind of becomes a disaster.
Which I would agree. If they lose this game, then the ship is taking on a massive amount of water. And you can see the bow starting to go up as the back end of this thing starts to sink. So I would
mainly for the reason, if they lose to Ohio State, I get it. It's a different level of talent, different level of team. If you start losing to the teams that out Wisconsin you, that do what you do, but better on a given Saturday, that's when it becomes concerning.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to finishing up listening to what Aaron Rodgers had to say, and Coach Butkus with the Green Bay Packers. Going to hear his thoughts on this offensive line as well. Pac fan says Lions given 4.5, not a long shot. No, you're right. It's not a long shot. I agree with you. It's not a long shot, but I can't. There's not many times. Is what my point is that that the Lions are favored in the past. The Lions haven't been favored very often, so that might be a bit of a long shot, I guess, in the Lion-esque world. But yeah, you're right. It's not a huge long shot. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gina Della from Pella here. Wayne Larrabee and his wife Julie took advantage of our wide range of beautiful wood designs that can be painted, stained, or unfinished to complement any decor.
We have a lot of windows in this house. You match the craftsmanship of the woodwork around those windows to a T. That's a talented group of people doing that.
We like our wood tones, and so the ability to have wood tones some places and the white windows others, it worked really well for us and allowed us to have exactly what we wanted.
Pella's team of expert installers always provides service of the highest quality, starting with an in-home consultation and ending with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. We have the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. There's no reason to wait any longer because right now, put no money down, make no payments, and be charged 0 interest for up to 24 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
Expires 9/30/2022. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers getting ready to host the Patriots Sunday here in Green Bay. Defensive back Jair Alexander, who suffered a groin injury Sunday in Tampa, was back on the practice field yesterday, just limited to some light drills. Randall Cobb had a couple of big receptions against the Buccaneers, one for 17 yards, another for 40 after missing practice all last week.
I was pretty sick for a couple of days. I actually tested positive for COVID and had symptoms a few days before I actually tested positive. So I was pretty sick. It wasn't like I was just, I was just coughing and stuff. I was down. I slept 13 hours one night.
Patriots lost their quarterback, Mac Jones, to a high ankle sprain in a loss to the Ravens. 36-year-old Brian Hoyer will likely get the start and says he's ready for whatever's next.
I played for 14 years. I have a lot of bad memories. I have a lot of good memories too. So, one game doesn't define me. One, play doesn't define me. I'm excited for any opportunity I get a chance to go play.
Matt LaFleur.
Brian Hoyer is a guy that I got a lot of respect for. I remember watching a lot of the cut-ups from the 14 season, and, you could make the case and take all his great plays that he made, and you thought he was one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
And the Packers got some good news. The Packers' new punter, Pat O'Donnell, who spent 8 years in Chicago, was named the NFC's Special Teams Player of the Week. When's the last time that happened in Green Bay? Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
It's been a while. He's a pretty good punter. Happy he's on our team. Got a hell of a head of hair. He's a good presence in our locker room, and he's kind of happy to be on this side of the border.
That's Aaron Rodgers. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
They remind you coming up October Best Saturdays, 500,000 can be given away. Saturdays in October about to be the best ever. Club members can rake in the Firekeepers Club reward play or up to $5,000 in cash. So they got all kinds of good stuff. 500K October Best Saturdays. Go to paysbig.com. That's paysbig.com. Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Joining us in Green Bay, our buddy Mike Clemens alongside. Mike, how you doing, pal?
Okay, walking alongside the practice field here today, and I'm looking at the defensive backs from about 60 yards away, and I don't think I see Jair Alexander out there today with the groin injury, and I don't think I see number 69, David Bakhtiari, with the offensive lineman. But it's a nice sunny day here, and of course these guys have to take their jerseys and they fold them up, they tuck them up underneath their shoulder pads, so you can't read their number.
Oh, yeah.
So you're judging by hair from the back of the helmet or height or rotations, stuff like that. But anyways, we'll get a little bit closer look here when they change the drills or before they throw us out, whichever comes first.
So, Mike, I know the question about David Bakhtiari was, he practicing, not practicing. They're taking easy on him. Is there I would assume there's going to be a either none or a much higher pitch count coming into this Patriots game, correct?
Yeah, I would think so. It was 35 snaps against the Bucks, 27 for Yosh Nijman. But here's the big picture. And I know you're going to hear from Coach Luke Butkus, the offensive line coach, coming up. And this is it. Here's your best 5 offensive linemen, Bill. David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, and I'd say Yosh Nijman, and John Runyon, and then Josh Myers. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
That means you're moving Elton Jenkins back to guard.
Yeah.
Those are your best 5. And they're not saying what they're doing yet.
And they haven't shown their hand at practice either, I would assume.
Oh, now while we're here, no. But that's what that's the little, Sunday surprise that we wondered. Now, right now, they're in the middle of, rehabbing these guys. And here's another, you asked a great question about, okay, so you had a big run game against the Bears. Why all the short passes for the most part against the Buccaneers? And I think the answer is this. It was the game plan that worked. It was more of an old-style West Coast offense because they did not want to deal with the interior and those 2 inside linebackers, very tough football players. So let's dump stuff off into the flats. That was the game plan. Number 2, you don't want to have Rodgers back there for 7 seconds and have these guys on ACLs, Jenkins and Bakhtiari, pass protect that long. Number 3, that might be the big part right there is that. Number 3 is, Aaron Rodgers took a lot of shots the first couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're saying to him, hey, man, get the ball out of your hands. Don't take any more hits.
Right. Yeah, if you don't have pass protection, you don't have time to set up downfield, which means you're going to sit in the pocket, which means you're going to be pressured, which means you can be hit. Now, I completely agree with it. I wonder if it's going to be a little different this week. Because you don't have the same set of linebackers. You got decent defensive line, but not the same group that you're going to be facing from Tampa Bay. And their secondary is okay, but it's not great by any stretch of the imagination. But then again, you're kind of waiting to see if is Christian Watson back on the field, by the way?
You know what? We're just getting kicked out now, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, that was quick.
Dealing with a knee injury. It's regular season and it's Belichick week.
Yeah. Right.
So, but I'm sure Belichick's still got a spy up there across the street looking. So
yeah, he's got somebody underground. Yeah.
Wait a minute, he's up. Wait, that's Bill up there now. I see him waving.
Yeah, he's probably got a drone in there.
Hoodie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything new we should look for or be excited about? And then we got, obviously, you and I will talk tomorrow. But anything we should be looking for out of Green Bay to talk about tomorrow?
Just that we are going to have a chance to talk to the rest of the coaching staff and ask a lot about these issues. But I'll be using that line for the rest of the afternoon. Belichick has spotted with a drone here at Packers practices today. That's awesome.
All right, Michael, be good, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Bill.
There you go. That's our buddy Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Mike is our guy on the ground. I'm sure there's a mole in there. I'm sure Bill Belichick has paid somebody to put a camera under the turf or something like that. They got something going on. There's some kind of gate that's about to happen, I'm sure, somewhere.
Maybe it's Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's Zappy. You've been zapped. He runs in, he tags you. You've been zapped, and he runs away.
Mike thought that was funny for some reason. The fact that he's an electric football player.
He did. He texted us. It's kind of like Euchre in Major League going, dynamite drop in. That's Mike via text messages sending it to us. We are going to hear from Luke Butkus coming up. We're going to hear some of his thoughts on the offensive line, pick up with the Aaron Rodgers stuff as well. So we got all of that coming up. So we got a lot still yet to go throughout the program. And we'll also take some more of your stuff, whether it's emails, tweets, over in the Bud Light live stream, and also on the phones, 87. It's been a very light phone day today. We've had just kind of a flurry of time. I do want to say something, though, and Carrie got on me a little bit earlier about get off of the Brett Favre stuff. I cannot apologize for what's being reported. I only bring it up because it tends to get worse as the days go on. It is a big story now. It is headlines on many, and not just in headlines and sports pages, but headlines and headlines. I'm sorry, your Brett Favre fandom is being completely offended at this point, but you can't ignore it. So, do you think where's the actual statement? God, I wish you could find it. I can't. I'll track it down later. Oh, there it is. Stop it. The Favre stuff already. If you want to roast somebody, roast Alex Baldwin, who shot and killed somebody. What the hell? That's so long ago. Come on, Carrie. You can do better than that. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are just a half game back of Philadelphia for the final wild card spot in the National League. That's after a 5-1 win over St. Louis last night. Brandon Woodruff was great over 6 innings, didn't allow a run, and struck out 10, his 4th straight double-digit strikeout game. Magic Craig Counsell was impressed.
I mean, he continues to pitch really well. You know, the changeup is a really good pitch right now. And I thought his curveball was a really good pitch tonight as well. So his both off-speed offerings outstanding. And you know he's going to bring the great fastball and pitch really well for sure.
Milwaukee broke the game open in 8th with 3 runs. That included a 2-run double from Victor Caratini. Milwaukee gained a game on Philadelphia due to them losing in Chicago, though Counsell said it wasn't on their radar during the game.
No, we got to take care of the game in hand. You know, we know what's going on, but we got to take care of our job, and that's always going to be the focus.
Milwaukee has 7 games left: 4 against Miami, 3 against Arizona, while the Phillies have 8 left: 1 more against the Cubs, 4 against Washington, and 3 against Houston. It'll be the Brewers and Marlins tonight at American Family Field. First pitch is at 6:40.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Packers are back in the field for practice as they continue to prepare for a visit from New England on Sunday. Patriots are likely going to be without quarterback Mac Jones. He's got an ankle injury that's expected to keep him out a couple of games. Veteran Brian Hoyer would start in his place. The Badgers going to face Brett Bielema in Illinois on Saturday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, print.
Welcome back. Dropping into the final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. Got football tonight. I'm excited about it. Going to be, after the program today, going to be scurrying out to La Crosse and heading out there for Oktoberfest. Going to be tomorrow morning. I think it's 6 or 7. We're going to be at Sloopy's. And then I'm going to be over, I believe, at the Oktoberfest grounds. So I'm getting the full itinerary once I get into town tonight. But for those of you that are in the La Crosse area, really, I'm excited. I can't wait. Going to be heading downtown, probably Buzzard Billy's. And I got to get, if anybody's listening, I got to get a reservation upstairs tomorrow night at the Starlight Lounge. Got to get up there. Sit at the bar, little music, martini in hand. Feel like you're a part of the Rat Pack. So cool. So cool. Last time I ended up hanging out at the library, and people laugh because that's the name of the bar. Hung out over at the library for a little bit. We were at Animal House. We walked the street. It was awesome last year. We walked the street, and then we end up down at the newer hotel, the chic boutique hotel downtown with the rooftop bar. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but we were down there. We walked all over last year, so going to be out there in La Crosse again later tonight. And then going to be heading to the Oktoberfest grounds, almost at Summerfest. The Oktoberfest grounds coming up on Friday, and then a little bit on Saturday, and then getting back. So really looking forward. And next week, a week from today, we're actually going to be in Viroqua. We're going to be in Viroqua late Wednesday night, and then be there on Friday, Thursday and Friday, and getting back early on Saturday. Saturday, we've got next Saturday is for the younger football groups. Kristen's sons both play football, and they have Parents' Day. So we're going to get back early for that, so she can do the walk for both kids in the A and C divisions, I think is how they do it. I don't know. It's different from when I used to do it. But nevertheless, so we got a lot coming up over the Charmont. Thank you very much. The Charmont. You are correct, Rodney. Thank you very much. And maybe I'll see you out there. But the Charmont Hotel, we ended up there on the rooftop bar having a couple of beverages. So looking forward to getting out to La Crosse. Yes, Ben. I thought Ben was going to say something. I thought I heard something.
Oh, no, nothing important.
I thought when
now,
I started talking about beverages that you were going to chime in. So
no, if I told you what I was reading right now, we would go on a 4-hour long rabbit hole that would be really unproductive.
Okay, now you got to say it. That's like saying don't look in the box. I got to look in the box.
There's some Reddit rumors going on right now.
Yeah.
In the chess world.
Oh God, here we go.
That so there's some journalists trying to learn more about cheating in the sport and how to maybe how to find it, how to dissect how it happens. So a grandmaster named Jonas Bierre, I don't know, that's Swedish or something.
Sure, I'll buy it.
Played against a journal, and this is a Reddit like not verified, but it's a great thread. Played against a journalist that tried to practice the cheating by using a vibrating ring that went around a certain private part.
Oh my goodness.
I told you.
Oh my goodness. So you got a guy, we went from anal beads to root rings.
That's all. And now Packers Patriots on Sunday.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
Packers Patriots. There is no cheating in football when it comes to that, unless, there's
no, speaking of cheating,
yeah,
the Patriots are coming to town.
Yeah, speaking of cheating, do you think Bill Belichick is going to have Brian Hoyer with vibrating anal beads for the play calls? Oh, we'll be able to tell if they have that giant elephant ear mic down there on the sidelines. Blue 23, blue 23. Yep, there you go. That was it.
God.
There we go. How are we looking? So, okay, we're into the now the vibrating beads to.
He has his hose out.
Vibrating beads to the root ring. There we go. I can't get over the amount of cheating that goes on in chess that is associated with vibrations and either the insertion and or sexual part thereof. You would figure if you kept your hands down like behind the front edge of the desk with like one of those aura rings on or something, where you just put it on your finger like a wedding ring, and you just, you could feel it, but it wasn't necessarily that loud. It's just a minor bzz, bzz, that's it, And instead of getting the, in the backside or the tickle tingle in the front, I didn't know that there was that much deviant cheating going on in the world of chess. I didn't realize that. I guess, because chess is not like poker. When you talk about the World Series of Poker and these guys are wearing these glasses and they're non-glare and they're holding their, cards up and you can't move your hands and okay, I get it because there's, millions of dollars at stake. But are there millions of dollars in the chess world for grandmasters?
Oh, yeah.
Is it really?
100%. Yeah, the purses are pretty big. It's a big kind of slept on world. Not as much as poker.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. We've got, both both sides of cheating, the front and the back. In the world of chess. There you have it. Let's get back out of the gutter. Aaron Rodgers, we'll pick up where we left off when Aaron Rodgers was talking to reporters. My buddy Dwayne is on the Bud Light live stream. He says, King Rook to Bishop 3, and my zipper is moving.
I told you didn't want to know.
Oh, I wanted to know. I'm glad we went down the rabbit hole. It's a Thursday, feels like a Friday. But yeah, you probably have to wear button flies. Otherwise, it could vibrate against your zipper. What's that? Oh,
I wonder how Urban Meyer fits into this conversation.
All right. Somewhere Urban Meyer's got to be thinking of something, Maybe that's how they're going to send the plays in for the next college he coaches to their quarterback.
That's how Wisconsin gets to the playoff.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's get back to Aaron Rodgers. We'll pick up where we left off. Aaron Rodgers was asked about, the play, and because what Mike Clemens just alluded to before the top of the hour was the fact that they ended up doing shorter pass plays. And why are they not throwing downfield as much? That's probably one of them. He was asked, did the shorter pass plays and quicker release of the ball, did that help guys like Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari?
I think it helps all the guys. I mean, Dave's always getting on me about holding the ball too long or dropping too deep in the pocket. So I definitely wanted to get the ball out against those guys. And a lot of the stuff is get the ball into our guys' hands and let them go. That's why the ball was coming out quick. It was shorter passes. They're great tackling, but we wanted positive plays. We want those third and manageable, which we hadn't really in the first half. That's why we went 5 for 7. Second half was a lot of third and 8, 9, 10 plus because we didn't have those first and second down kind of quick 5-6 yarders that we had in the first half. So that was the goal, and we just kind of got away from that a little bit in the second half.
So he was also asked about the incoming quarterback, Brian Hoyer, the Patriots quarterback, who is most likely going to get the start coming up on Sunday afternoon, if he has gotten to know him at all.
Yeah, I've known Brian a little bit over the years through him being a part of the Derby cruise, when he goes to Tom. I really like Brian. He's a good dude. He's been around the league for a long time, obviously. He's, had some stretches as a starter with a lot of success, but he's around the league because he's smart. He knows the schemes that he's in, and he can come in and execute as well as they want him to. So, I have a lot of respect for Brian.
The timeouts have been an issue for the Packers. We all know that. And sometimes it's because the clock is winding down. And we've seen that. But when you go through that mental checklist, as Aaron Rodgers does, is there a right time in his eyes to call a timeout?
Quarter, momentum, D&D, score of the game, and then the feasibility of getting us into some positive play. So you hate using them like we used a couple in the first half. Second half, you'd really think about what can I get us into in this situation to get a better play. But there's certain situations in scores, in momentum times where it is better to, have a conversation on the sideline, make sure we got the perfect call, and then and regroup instead of trying to force something. Sometimes there's a look that they give us on defense that we just can't block up, or it's going to be a negative play, and there's not anything really to get into based on the formation we're in. And you got to burn one and get in a better formation and change it up. But it's a field, taking all those factors.
He was also asking, go back to the fact that David Bakhtiari only took 35 snaps and Yosh Nijman took 27. He was asked about what did that change, if anything, via the quarterback position and what he had to go through, knowing that they were switching guys up?
No, I think both guys had nice performances on Sunday, and it's a good problem to have.
There you go. That was it. When you talk about in-game adjustments, he was asked specifically about this, going back to this past Sunday. They didn't put up any points in the second half. So when, is it hard, basically, is what he's being asked. Is it hard, for this in-game? Because we as fans and commentators and analysts and all that kind of stuff, everybody talks about in-game adjustments. You got to figure something out. This is what they're doing. So what's your counter move? And coaching is about countering. Coaching is about putting your guys in the best position to be successful. That's what good coaches do. And they also figure out, because the players are just doing their job, sometimes the the coaches will just look at things and figure out, hey, I need to do this. We need to put this guy in a better position and what have you, and take the input from the guys that are actually executing. But he was asked about, how hard is it for the coaches to make an in-game adjustment just like Sunday?
I think one of the most difficult things is to have a great first 15 or first 20 and then be able to transition out of that. Because there's going to be adjustments made to those first plays. And a lot of times there's designer plays in those first 15 or 20 that are not repeat calls. So you have to have a good bank of legitimate staples that you can get to and adjustments, plays that are multi-dimensional. You can run it against one eye, two eye, man, zone principles, and then be able to roll through some of that stuff. I think in the game we had a nice start. We had a good first, 15 to 25 ideas, and then they adjusted and went to a lot more man coverage, and we just didn't maybe make enough adjustments. At the same time, we had some positive plays and some opportunities, and had some penalties that hurt us and took us out of drives. We had that weird backed up situation where we had a run into the kicker and then a penalty where we had the ball around the 30, plus 30, and ended up getting on the minus 35, and that obviously took points off the board. But it's understanding, okay, we start with this, we get after them, how are they going to adjust, and then having a plan for that part as well. Sometimes we do, we just don't execute it. I felt like we had some decent calls and just didn't get it done.
Boom. Is that not almost different verbiage, obviously, but is that not almost what we talked about, Ben, on Sunday and on Monday, where you come out with your scripted plays, some of them are chic, and all of a sudden they adjust to it and you don't have an answer for it? Is that not what we said?
It is. I wonder in this grand scheme, that second half stuff, whether it's Rodgers or LaFleur, where maybe there are good calls that go to the line and Rodgers isn't comfortable, whether it's an audible situation. I wonder maybe not who's to blame because they won and it was a good win, but who do we look to more for fixing that?
Right. We'll never know. But, I came out and I know people thought I was harsh and I was negative. And I said, this is what it is. They came out and smoked it the first 3 drives. They, like he said, the first 20. So if you look at the play drive, the play chart, it was about 20 plays that they ran, maybe just over. And they had success. And then the fumble happened and they never were really successful after that. And I said, maybe it's just the fact that they come out with such a good script with some, as he put it, designer plays. They don't necessarily have the go-tos, the staples. They changed things up. They went to man and they never adjusted. And he talks about some of the other things, about some penalties and things that happened and the running into the kicker and all that kind of stuff. But boom, that's it. You really do a great job of scheming for the first portion of the game. And then after that, they didn't adjust. And this is something that, again, I circle, that we talked about a lot of good today regarding the Packers. Point out the good, which, by the way, for all the people that say we're always negative, we tried to talk about a lot of the good today. Nobody called in about anything good. They pointed out a few things, but for the most part, a lot of people can point to the negative more than they point to the positive. So it's not this program. It's pretty much listenership and or viewership. So that being said, but that's exactly what I talked about on Sunday and on Monday, was that adjustments for this team at times can be problematic. And it's not halftime. It's just adjustments throughout the game. Now, he was asked about LaFleur now in his 4th year as the head coach. Is he getting any better at these, quote, halftime adjustments, so to speak?
Well, I joke about the halftime stuff, but the most important conversations are really those player-to-player conversations where you can have the little subtle adjustments between myself and the receivers, myself and the backs, myself and the line, to be able to get us in and out of things a little bit quicker is important. And, it's talking about the looks that we had. It's talking about the pressures and adjusting to those because this scheme or this system hasn't been a big – adjustments at halftime type thing. It's just, trust in the scheme and the stuff that we have in the hopper to pull back out. But I think I've seen a lot of growth in those areas as less reliant on scheme at times and more creative with some adjustments, not just at halftime, but in all the quarters. When we're talking on the sidelines, making little subtle adjustments and then just trusting that that's going to work.
There you go. It's more about him making the subtle adjustments with the players, with the guys around him, than it is about coaches coming in and making wholesale adjustments. But this is what we've been talking about. And like I said, we get ripped for all kinds of stuff and being negative. And these are the things that I look at and I say, wait a minute, there's some things here that, that are obvious. A win's a win, but a win sometimes puts the lipstick on a pig. And there's some of the things here that we've talked about that now he's basically verifying. So I don't know. We don't sometimes get nearly enough. Then again, we're only smart part of the time. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. When we come back, got more to get into. Hey, our friends at Sloppy Joe's and Smoke on the Water, they pushed the ride back. I wanted to make a mention of that. The motorcycle, the veterans ride that they have leaving Sloppy Joe, and it's going to be a beautiful weekend. So this is awesome. So they're going to ride on Sunday from Sloppy Joe's in Hubertus to Smoke on the Water. They got a couple of stops in between that are going to be really cool. And then afterwards, they're going to have the watch party out at Smoke on the Water again this week for the Packers and the Patriots. We will not be there, unfortunately, because obviously I'm going to be up in Green Bay and at the game. But hey, if you're, not going to the game and you ride a motorcycle and you want to support them, do it. Otherwise, you can stop over to Smoke on the Water, also make some donations, because the donations for the veterans, they push the proceeds for this particular ride, thanks to Joe Hennis and Ellen Hennis, to Fisher House, Wisconsin. We really appreciate that. So don't forget about it. Sloppy Joe's ride this weekend, going to Smoke on the Water, watch party afterwards, and the weather's going to be beautiful. No reason not to ride. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Best way to get a Packers game going? Give it some gas. Actually, give you some gas. It's the Quick Trip Opening Drive Sweepstakes. Win a $10 gas card for every yard earned on the Packers opening drive. 1 yard, $10. 50 yards, chug-a-lug for your vehicle. Oh, and if the Packers score on the opening drive, we'll throw you an extra $500. Just fuel up on Quick Trip's guaranteed gasolines. Use your Quick Rewards and you're entered. See quicktrip.com/sweepstakes for details.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
And it's only about a mile away from Lambeau. So if you're heading up in that direction, don't forget about the Bay Motel Green Bay and all that they have to offer. Good people over there, but more so the Bay Family Restaurant and good home cooking for you and yours. But the Bay Motel Green Bay, kind of a throwback. And if you're looking for a really cool place to stay, if you're looking for just to go up and, hang out for a weekend or what have you, even if it's a non-game weekend, you want to go out on a weekend and that the Packers are like next weekend. So you want to go up there and just hang out near the stadium or what have you for game day. Go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That's baymotelgreenbay.com. Go up, watch the game in the morning, maybe the Hall of Fame or something like that. Make a weekend of it. There you go, baymotelgreenbay.com. So coming up after the bottom of the hour, Coach Butkus, Luke Butkus, is going to talk about the offensive line. We'll hear from him coming up here in just a little bit. This one is from Danny, who says, he had a fantasy football question. He said, what did CHARCH say about Tua? Tua's going to play tonight, by the way. Unless something changes, I would assume, but Tua's going to play tonight. The Miami Dolphins taking on the Bengals tonight, 7:15, and that game is on Prime Video tonight. Don't forget. But Tua and the Dolphins with that undefeated record after getting a big win over the Buffalo Bills this past weekend, now head into the Queen City where they're having a whiteout tonight. Have you seen the uniforms for Cincinnati, Ben, for tonight's game?
No, I can picture them.
Even white helmets. It's like if you got an app, whether it's on a phone or in like a Photoshop, where you can get rid of all the color and just make it gray and white. That's what they've gone to. It's just a black and white uniform. Black number.
So on a scale of white to green, how green is Joe Burrow's jersey at the end of the night? Like a 7?
Boy, he probably looks like a pea in a pod. That offensive line is terrible. So and Miami's defense, especially defensive front, is pretty solid for what they've been able to do this season. So my assumption is that Joe Burrow again is going to be under siege, but you can throw against this secondary. So yeah, it's it's tough because I've gotten until tonight's game, obviously, to make the decision whether or not to play Joe Burrow for my quarterback this week or Aaron Rodgers. And I think Rodgers could have a pretty solid game. But again, going back to what we've discussed about the short passing game, do I think that they're going to score at least 3 touchdowns? The Packers, yes. Do they do it through the air? Or do they do it on the ground? And with Joe Burrow having his full complement of receivers and a really bad secondary, would it be more like, who do you think would score more, Rodgers or Joe Burrow?
Oh, I'd go with Burrow.
See, I do too, only for the fact that I just watched Allen Buffalo just tear up that secondary for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns last week.
Lamar did it the week before too.
Yeah.
It feels like a big Jamar Chase night. I don't know why. It just does.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dolphins defense, where are they right now? Where do they? The Dolphins defense, trying to find out where they rank. Oh, geez. They're fifth from last. No. 7th from last. 60 quarterbacks are throwing 68.8% against them, defensively speaking. Oof. Not good. And they've given up the 3rd most touchdowns secondary-wise in football. They've already given up 6 passing touchdowns to only 1 interception. Quarterbacks are completing 68.8% of their passes against them. Where are the Patriots in that? Patriots are right behind them. Patriots aren't much better. They've given up 6 touchdowns but have 2 picks, and quarterbacks are completing 65.3% of their passes against them. I don't know. Boy, I got a decision to make. Holy mackerel.
Sunday feels like a day where, they might get the passing game more established and work on it and try to execute more as the game goes along. It's also a game where, although the Patriots have a good front, feels like A.J. Dillon gets the ball a little more in the red zone. I don't know if they force it. When it comes to strictly fantasy production and maybe not efficiency in the game, I would 100% Burrow.
Pac-Fan says the uniforms are awesome for the Bengals. Those white and black things with the white helmets with the black stripes, they look like used Kleenex running around out there. Look, that's just ugly. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
They look like a chessboard, honestly.
Yeah, kind of. They look like Victory Lane, like you could park a car on them and say, I'm the champion. How are we looking? I'm not a fan. Then again, it beats the all black isn't bad, but the all orange is awful. So I agree with you. It's better than the all orange. The all orange is awful. It's a terrible look. So I'll go with, they kind of look like zebras, Rick says. Yeah, it's an ugly look. Okay, let's do this. We're going to hear from Luke Butkus when we come back. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Get on your ATV and hit the trails in Humbird, Wisconsin. Moto right up to the Scholze Family Beef Farm Store or order online at ScholzeFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I know one thing coming up this weekend. I was talking about the ride that's going to leave smoke, or not Smoke in the Water. It's going to end at Smoke in the Water, but leave Sloppy Joe's. I know one of the stops. I think they're going to go see our buddy Jeff and Alicia at Stoles Hole 109 up in Watertown. So if you're going to be out riding, maybe you want to stop by there and see the ride come in. But another terrific place if you're going to go and watch the game, if you're going to grab some good food, and I don't think you can meet better people between Jeff and Alicia. They're great people. I can't wait for Stoley's Hog Alley and the renovation to be done for that second deck and that bigger dining room and that another level and the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to that. That's in Summit, but Stoles Hole 109 up in Watertown. They got some good stuff going on and watch parties as well. So if you're thinking about a place to go, you're in the Watertown area, that's the place. And if you're over there near Upper or Lower Bobbin and in the Oconomowoc area, it's another good place to go. We got a lot of good places out in the Lake Country area that you can stop in and enjoy yourself. So, by the way, the Cubs right now are beating the Phillies. And we watch this because obviously the Brewers are now only a half game back. Ben, what inning are we in? And what's the prognosis down in Chicago?
It is the bottom of the first inning. The Cubs are leading 1-0 on the Phillies.
Okay. Gotcha. I do have to give Zach.
Your guy, he choked.
Zach in Wisco, 5 times grilled cheese champ, hits us up over on Twitter and says, with those uniforms tonight that the Bengals are going to be sporting, the black and white ones, you might as well have Siegfried and Roy be the guest coaches. Aren't one of those guys dead now? Am I mistaken in that? Was it Siegfried or Roy? One of the two. Didn't they die?
Yes.
Okay.
I see that Siegfried has passed away.
Siegfried has passed away. So now you're just talking about Roy. Before you had a defensive and offensive coordinator. Now you just got a dude. Now you just got a coach.
I don't know if Roy is still living as well.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Siegfried and Roy joke coming in, and one of them's dead. That's the kind of listeners we have. That's okay. We all learn something. That's bad, right? That's bad. Is it too soon? I don't think so.
Yes, they have both passed away.
They have both passed away. Okay. So, why not get Lombardi if we're going beyond the grave? Just go for the top dog. Go for the top dog. Luke Butkus, offensive line coach for your Green Bay Packers. And he was asked if he was surprised about how well David Bakhtiari actually played on Sunday.
David's a pro. He's a perfectionist. I mean, just ask him, he'll tell you. But, there's a reason why he's one of the best left tackles in this league. Of course, he wants to be perfect every play. Is he going to be? No. There are things that he wants to clean up that we want him to clean up. But it's a great start to get better and to be out there and play full speed. So very encouraging and very excited.
So how did David Bakhtiari and Yosh Nijman, kind of handle it when they were told that they're going to share the snaps at left tackle?
I mean, the best as they could. I think both of them didn't know going in what it was going to be like, but I think it was great. They both handled it like professionals, and we have a luxury in having Yosh be able to fill in for David this past season, and now going forward, we'll figure all that out.
So both Bakhtiari and Nijman, they told reporters they weren't happy about it, right?
Oh, these guys are team players. They understand the team is bigger than anybody. So that's first and foremost. Both those guys are going to do whatever it takes to help this team. They might be opinionated and say what they want, but going in that locker room, I know that each and every one of these guys in here can count on them to do what's best.
So when you start talking about the offensive lineman, specifically the left tackle position, you've got two guys playing it during the same game. What's the difference between the two?
I mean, it's having a luxury, like I said earlier, right? Having a guy like Yosh who's played well over this past year and a half, and then having Dave coming back. So we're going to figure that out. It's a day-by-day thing, and right now we're still trying to figure out, is Dave going to play a whole game or not? I mean, who knows? We'll figure all that stuff out, but it's nice to have a 73 next to me and to have somebody else, instead of, both those guys being in street clothes on the sideline.
How good is it to have not one, but two specific left tackles? Bakhtiari played as well as he did after 19 months basically being away, and then Yosh Nijman playing extremely well also.
I can't, because my ability or lack of ability never put me in that position. It is incredible, though, both those guys. And like I said, both those guys want to do everything perfect. They wanted to be back to their Pro Bowl caliber form day one. That was Elton last week. That was or 2 weeks ago. That was Bach last week. And of course, reality, you're not going to be to where you were at. But that's how you get better. You go out there and practice. Yeah, that's important, definitely. But going out full speed versus a different opponent, that's where you're making your most strides, I think.
Here's the $1 million question. This is the money question. Could Yosh Nijman, since you want your best 5 out there, and he's performed as one of them, can Yosh Nijman move from left tackle to right tackle?
Yosh has all the ability in the world. Again, we're going to, unfortunately, during training camp, during the past year, he's had to fill in that left tackle. So he hasn't had a ton of reps at right tackle. But that's my job. That's our job, is to figure that out.
What's the biggest challenge So when you talk about Yash moving from left to right, and he hasn't really had to because David Bakhtiari's been down, so he's not practicing over there. But what's the biggest challenge for him moving from left tackle to right tackle?
Well, mentally, it's, you're just on the other side. You have to flip that. I think the biggest thing is physically, muscle memory, your footwork, your stance, your get off. That's where it comes into play a little bit.
So is there a big challenge from a guard going from left guard to right guard, with the insinuation be that maybe Jenkins goes back to left guard?
I think it's different. I think it's the same on both sides. Obviously tackle, you got a lot of space. So there's speed and guys off the edge. Maybe that's a little bit different, compared to being inside, where whether you're left or right, you're getting on a defender pretty quick. They're right on top of you. So it's hard regardless. People think that it's easy. We've had that luxury of having guys being able to do that. That's not the norm.
Elton Jenkins, though, don't forget, he was named a Pro Bowler when he was playing the left guard position. Is for all intents and purposes, is that the best spot for him?
Well, that's something that we'll have to figure out. And that's something with Matt and Steno and obviously Elton and Yash and Dave and everybody else that when it comes down to it and we have to make that decision, that'll be a group decision.
In other words, also, there's money involved. Now, I know what's best for the team's what's best for the team, but you got to take that into consideration now that Elton Jenkins has basically played tackle for a year and a half and done it rather well. And as the Packers offensive line coach, how challenging has it been to rehab two guys like Elton Jenkins, who got hurt and came back earlier than most people thought. And then he's playing right tackle, could move to left guard. And then you got an ACL and David Bakhtiari that you have to take care of, who's been a Pro Bowl and the perennial best at his left tackle position.
As much as I would love to take all the credit for that, there's no way. It's those guys. I'm very fortunate to be in this position to have both those guys, to have everybody that's in that room, and very grateful to be a part of it and help in any way I can. That's my job, is to put those guys in the best position to be successful and to help this team win. And yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit of work. Sometimes it takes a little bit of juggling, but that's my job.
So you remember that first game, Yash Nyman came in for David Bakhtiari after the injury and played in that game in January a couple of years ago and played that left tackle position. And just, it was a pretty rocky start, but just how far has Yash Nyman come since then?
Well, this is a tough profession. I don't care if you have 10 starts, if you have 2 starts, if you have David years of starts. It's hard. The guys that he's blocking are very good. So he has matured. He's gotten a little more, we don't want to say comfortable, but he's gotten more comfortable with the playbook and knowing what to do. And then physically, he's just getting better and better every day with technique and again, seeing those live reps.
The Patriots defensive front, how do you think they're going to attack? Because, they had horses up front in Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles was able to use the horses up front and put some pressure on Aaron Rodgers, specifically after the first 20-something plays. How will Belichick, does he feel, will attack this front line of the Packers?
Well, there are some differences, obviously, in their defense. Bill Belichick has been doing this for a long time and doing it at a high level with multiple personnels. So it's a game plan that we're going into a little bit different, but ultimately it's about the Green Bay Packers. So yeah, are the fronts different? Is the structure of the defense different? Yes, but that's our job to figure that plan out and do what's best for this team.
And then last but not least, Jake Hansen, really good training camp, earned his spot, came out against the Vikings and struggled. So what does he really need to improve on?
Well, with Jake, he's been the glue guy of being the interior 3 backup. With Elton being out that first week, he got an opportunity, and he did some. We said he struggled in Minnesota. He did some really good things too. For a guy that hasn't played a whole lot, there's some good things that he's done, and we're going to correct the good things and the bad things. We're going to treat them both the same, right? We're going to learn from it and grow. So there's some things in pass pro that he needs to clean up, but I thought he did some really good things in the run game.
There you have it. That is Luke Butkus, the offensive line coach for your Green Bay Packers, answering a few questions. Our buddy Dwayne at Dwayne's Cover It All, Wisconsin's best canvas, upholstery, boat cover provider. You can check him out on Facebook and all the great work that he does. He posts a lot of different stuff on Facebook and the website. Go to Dwayne, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoveritAll.com, whether it's for your boat covers this time of year, getting them repaired, or maybe a travel cover. Or if, say, you have an office and everybody's back in the office now and you don't want to spend money on office furniture, get it reupholstered. Do it that way. If you're a gym and you need some gym equipment taken care of, rather than going out and buying all new, it's another way to think about it. All kinds of different stuff. And if you got a canvas, say, out in front of your place of business, he can do that as well. So all you got to do is get a hold of him, 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. That is Dwayne's, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoveritAll.com. Stay tuned. We're going to wrap it up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers getting ready to host the Patriots Sunday here in Green Bay. Defensive back Jair Alexander, who suffered a groin injury Sunday in Tampa, was back on the practice field yesterday, just limited to some light drills. Randall Cobb had a couple of big receptions against the Buccaneers, one for 17 yards, another for 40 after missing practice all last week.
I was pretty sick for a couple of days. I actually tested positive for COVID and had symptoms a few days before I actually tested positive. So I was pretty sick. It wasn't like I was just, I was just coughing and stuff. I was down. I slept 13 hours one night.
Patriots lost their quarterback, Mac Jones, to a high ankle sprain in a loss to the Ravens. 36-year-old Brian Hoyer will likely get the start and says he's ready for whatever's next.
I played for 14 years. I have a lot of bad memories. I have a lot of good memories too. So, one game doesn't define me. One, play doesn't define me. I'm excited for any opportunity I get a chance to go play.
Matt LaFleur.
Brian Hoyer is a guy that I got a lot of respect for. I remember watching a lot of the cut-ups from the 14 season, and, you could make the case and take all his great plays that he made, and you thought he was one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
And the Packers got some good news. The Packers' new punter, Pat O'Donnell, who spent 8 years in Chicago, was named the NFC's Special Teams Player of the Week. When's the last time that happened in Green Bay? Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
It's been a while. He's a pretty good punter. Happy he's on our team. Got a hell of a head of hair. He's a good presence in our locker room, and he's kind of happy to be on this side of the border.
That's Aaron Rodgers. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
From our buddy Mike Clemens, wrapping things up and then heading out of the studio, packing it up, and off we go. As a matter of fact, Adam, thanks for the email. He says, Unit, can't wait to see you in lacrosse. Steins are on me. Guten Tag. I think that's what he's trying to say. He says, are you familiar with I never could pronounce this word correctly, so I apologize. The Gemukelite games? Do you know what I'm trying to say, Ben?
No clue. No.
They are, it's these German games, feats of whatever. I did them 1 year during Oktoberfest in Cincinnati when I worked for a country station years ago. And it was carrying the steins. You went over and you took one stein and you went down and got the next stein. And you went back down and got the next. You kept walking between tables with all these steins of beer. I saw the one video that's gone viral of the girl. It was like 12 to 16 steins of beer. You got to have some strength. You got some guns if you're carrying those big ass steins around, because those are like 24 to 32 ounce beers, maybe more, that she was carrying them. You carry them like in a circle stacked in your hands, and you stack more steins on top and then stack steins on top of that. And man, you got to have some guns to be able to do that, to deliver those beers. And they're known for that there. But then there's the rolling of the barrel and all these other games that they played. But Adam, I am not participating in the games, but if you want to say steins are on you, I'll go for it. Appreciate it. Dennis, shout out to Marty in Manitowoc. He says, hey, Marty, come see us at D2 on Sunday. He said also, Unit Corey from Cheesehead TV, always listening to you. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I've heard about Corey from Cheesehead TV. Yeah, there you go. I'll leave it at that.
You wait till it cools a bit and begins to coagulate.
And Chico, listening to us in Eau Claire, he says, you always got to get to La Crosse and visit Dave's Guitar Shop. He said it's a must-see, and he said ask to visit the part of his collection that is located upstairs. It's worth the wait. That is Michael Chico, listening to us in Eau Claire. So good stuff. Good way to end the program today. So that's going to do it. We are out of here. We're going to be on our way to La Crosse tomorrow morning. We are going to be early tomorrow morning. We're going to be at Sloopy's. And I don't know what all we're doing there, but apparently it's craziness. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to be at Sloopy's, then over at the Oktoberfest grounds. We will see you there if all works out and we don't have any issues. Then we will be doing the show from there, and then out and about more tomorrow night. Before doing a few things Saturday morning and then coming back to the Milwaukee area and then Green Bay on Sunday and then back here on Monday and then Viroqua next week. So really looking forward to getting to La Crosse. Oktoberfest, here we come. Guten Tag and whatever the hell the rest of it means. All I know out of German is Borscht. I think that's Polish, actually. That sauerkraut, strudel. I'm good. Beyond that, I don't know much. So maybe I'll learn a few things tomorrow. And yes, we are wearing the German hats we bought there last year. I don't know what they're called, but they're the little fedora-looking things with a feather in it, and I'm wearing it. I'll be bleary-eyed later this evening as I walk back to the hotel. Expect a fun show tomorrow.